Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good evening. Good evening.
I would request everyone to kindly switch on the camera so that we can have a picture session.
You want to have a picture? Okay, I don't need to have my glasses for that. So just listen when I read.
I hope all are doing well.
Yeah, thank you so much. All good. Is it on?
Should we start now?
Oh, good. You have a good attendance of 82 people. That's very nice.
It will increase soon, ma'am,
Oh,
because
okay.
this is
Okay.
the time we start with the session and we get number of attendance, means more
Okay.
number of people.
Yeah, good evening. Good evening, Mr. Noonwal. I just saw your wishes. Thank you so much.
So, good evening, esteemed dignitaries, hospitality experts, academicians, faculty members, research scholars, and industry professionals. It is an absolute delight to welcome you all to day 3 of the 6-day online Atal Faculty Development Program, Flame to Feast, hosted by Faculty of Hotel Management at PCTE Group of Institutes. Winter is magical season, a time when the world wraps itself in a cozy blanket of warmth and tradition. Just a winter invites us to gather around hearty feasts, rich conversations, and crackling fires. Our FTP mirrors this spirit, bringing us together to celebrate the warmth of knowledge, the richness of culinary heritage, and the spark of innovation. Before we dive into today's flavorful session, let us take a moment to reflect on the highlight of day 2, which was as fulfilling as a hot bowl of soup on a chilly evening. In session 3, Chef Brigade White Kumar, an advocate of Anglo Indian cuisine, took us down a historical lane showcasing how the fusion of cultures can create timeless culinary treasures. Like a winter pie layered with complex flavors, her session reminded us of the beauty of preserving culinary tradition while savoring their modern interpretations. In session 4, Dr. Sherry Kurian guided us through the aromatic and colorful world of Kerala cuisine, his insight into the diverse culinary gem of God's own country, which, like adding spices to a winter stew, vibrant, bold, and unforgettable. These sessions provide the perfect warmth to our winter evening, filling our minds and heart with knowledge and inspiration. And now, the frost settling down, we gear up for day 3, where we will explore topics there that are refreshing as crisp winter air and fulfilling as festive feast. Let me introduce today's distinguished speaker who will keep the flame of learning alive and lead us into thought-provoking discussions. Chef Gunjan Goela. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an absolute honor to introduce a culinary maestro whose work bridges the rich tradition of India's past with the flavor of the present, Chef Gunjan Goela. With over 3 decades of experience in the culinary world, Chef Goela has made it her life's mission to revive and celebrate the heritage of Indian cuisine. From a young age, she was captivated by the spices, aromas, and timeless recipes of Indian kitchens. Today, she is a recognized authority of tradition Indian cuisine, specializing in heritage recipes, Indo-Marwari cuisine, and Ayurvedic food principles. Her journey has been one of the dedication to preserving the essence of Indian gastronomy while making it accessible and relevant to modern audiences. Chef Goela has graced his profile events with her culinary expertise. She has catered for distinguished global leaders, including Prime Minister Narendra Modi, as well as iconic industrial families like Ambani's, Birlas, and Goenkas. Whether it's a grand international event like Make in India or wedding of thousands of guests in Turkey, her ability to create a royal culinary experience is unmatched. She has also served a consultant of ITC Hotel, curating menus that reflect the depth of Indian culinary history. Her expertise were instrumental in crafting the celebrated Dilli Ka Khana, food festival which showcases the authentic flavor of Old Delhi, paying homage to culinary legacy of this historic region. A regular face on television, Chef Goela has shared her knowledge on platforms like NDTV, Good Times, and Star TV, educating and inspiring food enthusiasts across the nation. She is also a proud author of Bania Legacy of Old Delhi, Culture and Cuisine, a fascinating book that intertwines recipes, culture, and history, shedding light on Old Delhi's merchant community and its enduring culinary traditions. I'm sorry. Beyond her professional achievement, Chef Goela has a passionate advocate for using food as a medium of empowerment. Through her workshop, she not only teaches cooking but also encourages women to start food related businesses, whether it's catering, marketing, making homemade chapatis, or creating pre-prepared ingredients. Her teaching often emphasizes Ayurvedic cooking principles, blending health and heritage seamlessly. Her contribution extends beyond India as she has represented India gastronomy at international like Slow Food Congress in Italy and collaborated with global organizations to promote Ayurvedic cuisine, Ayurvedic cooking and Indian culinary traditions. Ladies and gentlemen, Chef Gunjan Goela is not just a chef, but a historian, a teacher, and innovator. Her work inspires us to celebrate the cultural essence of food while embracing its modern possibilities. Let us give a warm welcome to as we eagerly wait to learn from her wealth and experience as passion of Indian cuisine. I would now request Chef Kunjan Goela to speak and enlighten the audience with her words. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Jyoti. Thank you so much for these warm and welcoming words. It really encourages me. And
Pleasure.
I just hope I'm able to share some light on the subject that I've been given, that is green cuisine. Very, not just being green cuisine, it's one of the closest subject to my heart. And I feel every Indian and all of us put together can make a difference to the world, and it'll be my endeavor to do this and achieve this at some point of life where people come together, they work on the fact that sustainability is the need of the hour. So let's start. My topic today given by Dr. Anirban Gupta was green cuisine. Before we start, let me thank everyone present and also the authorities to program it so well, giving a chance for so many varieties of speakers to enrich in their talks and to share their knowledge is all we can do at this juncture of life. We have lived our life. It is now for us to share our knowledge. So we are very grateful, especially to Dr. Anirban Gupta, who's made such great efforts. Hats off to him. Kudos to the entire, all the people working in the university and making this happen today at such a grand scale. I welcome you all.
Sorry
And
for
let us
interruption, ma'am. To the audience, I just want to include that ma'am was in Dubai and she came here just for this session only. So it is a means honor for us that ma'am is here. Thank you
uh,
so much, ma'am, for coming here just for the session.
No, no. See, listen, Jyoti. Now, we are in a profession. All the people from the hospitality do understand commitment is the bottom line of our profession. If you're committed to somebody, you have to stand committed. There is no escape route because, for example, if you're catering, you promise somebody you'll be providing food. God forbids, in case any casualty, you have to ensure that the food is there because the guest has a party and he's expecting the guest. There is no escape route. You have to present. So in this profession, commitment is the first thing we are taught, and I think we should all stand by it.
True, ma'am. Absolutely right. Thank you,
So,
ma'am.
yeah, so let us begin.
Yes.
Green cuisine, today's subject. I think it's a very hot subject. And let me start by saying that, you know, uh, somehow I feel that India has to take pride and own up. The ownership is very poor in our country. And when it comes from East, especially the European countries, we take a pride in it. And to tell everyone, this subject was with us. What is green cuisine? What is sustainability? Was what India always practiced. But unfortunately, it was slow food that came from Italy and has now entered the Indian roads, and everybody is trying to follow that. Nevertheless, I feel whenever and whichever point of time you start accepting, it's good. But it's never too late. We can even start today and understand what is green cuisine. Green cuisine as a concept was conceptualized in a bid to allow India to achieve its sustainable goals of ending hunger, achieving food security, improved nutrition, and promoting sustainable agriculture. Indian farmers are leaving no stone unturned to contribute their best towards their initiatives. They've already moved from chemical-based agriculture to traditional farming practices, which rely heavily on indigenous knowledge to support resilience and sustainability. The Indian government also took certain initiatives and rolled out the plastic waste management and extended producer responsibility guidelines for plastic packaging to reduce and restrict its use. Whenever we are traveling, we see it's the metropolitans who's got the maximum plastic. And when you travel inside, these small, the second tier cities, especially the hills and the mountains, all of us know the plastic is a total ban. We cannot even, for example, Missouri, I was there about last month and I came to know that plastic was just not allowed inside Missouri. And if somebody finds you with a plastic bag, you are fined. So such small steps, if taken by all of us, we are conscious, it is achievable. It is not something we can't do. Now, the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, which is called FSSI, also took initiative to reduce its plastic footprints, from banning single-use plastic to the development of environmental friendly substitute. Well, establishing an effective plastic collection and recycling was one major task India has achieved. And I'm very proud that we are becoming very conscious. Can I have the next slide? Now comes the point, the definition of what is green cuisine. A culinary approach that prioritizes sustainability, ethical sourcing, minimal environmental impact, and sustainably focused approach which prioritizes environmental sustainability and minimal ecological impact. So now we have to be very conscious. The whole idea is to get awareness and to understand what is the local and seasonal emphasis that we should focus on in our daily lives. Waste reduction is one place where we all can contribute. Now, carbon footprint reduction. We all know what is a carbon footprint and we are all getting conscious. So it's our responsibility to take care of this and to strive to reduce the carbon footprint associated with food production and consumption. It is just not food production. We are equally responsible for consumption and production. Next slide, please. It refers to a healthy and sustainable diet. We are talking about what is green cuisine. Foods that are environmental friendly, high in quality and have low calorie density, includes a range of fruits and vegetables. Why green cuisine matters? Because it's a nutrient-rich food. Green cuisine often incorporates a variety of fresh organic produce, providing essential vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. That is what we need in our daily diet. Reduces exposure to pesticides. By choosing organic and locally sourced foods, individuals can minimize exposure to harmful pesticides and chemicals. Green cuisine refers to a diet that is healthy and sustainable for the ecosystem as well as the planet. Green foods are environmentally friendly, healthy, and high in quality due to the presence of nutrients and are low in calorie. So we are benefiting, it's a double sword whammy. You're low in calorie and high in nutrients. These foods are unprocessed, unrefined, and do not contain added salts. See, nowadays, yes, it's a matter of convenience when we go and buy and pick up a plate of Maggie, which is highly processed food. We buy chips on the way, again, highly processed, packed and high on salt. So, this is what we need to understand. What are we eating? Is then imagine then you're buying that packet, it has to be recycled, it has to be dumped, and what do you do with the packaging? And we'll come to that, but this is a question I ask every Indian. When you buy the packed food, how do you manage the waste? Well, businesses and people engaged in green cuisine produce organic as well as eco-friendly food, giving priority to local, seasonal, and sustainable food sources. Now, you see, you're also giving enough margin to the farmers. There won't be so many deaths in case we get conscious. We understand what does a farmer need. The farmer needs to sell off the entire produce. The farmer would only grow and should grow what is consumed entirely by us and not just left for him to rot his produce. Can I have the next slide, please? Now, sourcing sustainable ingredients, local and seasonal, is what we should all be very, very conscious. Because what are the benefits? Now, benefits are it reduces environmental impact. But since we are sourcing the local food, we are not having the transportation. We are saving the cost of transportation. We are saving the planet from the carbon food imprints, also the pollution. India is among the highly polluted countries in the world. You eat fresh produce, you are eating something which is freshly grown, locally grown, seasonally grown, and chefs can have a great contribution when it comes to a local produce. It's support for local economy. You are supporting the farmer, you're supporting the economy if you buy local, eat local, and be local. You're building relationships. Develop strong relationships with local farmers to understand their seasonal offerings and unique qualities. The more you talk, the more you interact with the farmers, you will understand their problem. You will be a part of their life, and so will they be a part of their life. So it's very important to know who's growing what and what does a farmer need, what is his requirement. We can contribute, and that's how the society comes to another level, because we as human beings need to help each other. Can I have the next slide, please? Now, as I just said, plant-based diet, which has vegetarian, vegan, and plant-based proteins. We don't need to have supplements. The food itself can provide you with all the required supplement the body needs. These are healthy staples. We can have whole grains. There's no need to process them. There's no need to go to and buy a packed Arteka bag. You can buy you can go to a local chakki. You are giving some business to a local person who will also manage to run his family. Now, the legumes, you just buy the legumes and cook and try and make different dishes out of it. You're supporting the planet in many ways. Seeds and nuts, which are locally grown, which are there for you. And mind you, there is a very old coin on this said that whatever your geography is and whatever the season is, eat that. You are saving the planet and you are obliging. God has created that for you. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay, what is reducing carbon footprints in the kitchen? Now, how can we do that? By energy efficient appliances. Invest in energy efficient appliances such as induction cooktops and energy starved rated ovens to reduce extra energy consumption. This is very, very important. We are all running out of fuel. Coals are not in abundance as they were some time back. So we need to control the energies. Now, temperature control. When you're cooking and it comes to a boil, you should immediately turn the stove to a medium or to a low heat. By this, you are saving a lot of energy and lot of your money as well. Okay. The birth of green cuisine in India, we'll talk about that, is India witnesses 4.58 to 15.88 percentage of wastage in fruits and vegetables. Just imagine 15 point or 16% of wastage of fruits and vegetables because the farmers grow and we don't buy them. You know, the companies come and they buy, and whatever they find the best, they pick up, and the second lot is given to the for this local consumption. And when they rot, when the people don't like that quality, the farmers have no place to sell. And that is the biggest control. I think the government of India has taken steps to do that. But we as citizens of India, it's our responsibility that we must control this wastage. The rising percentage has caused worry not just to the farmers, but also to the government. This creates an opportunity to build practices that can help reduce wastage levels, not just in production, but in infrastructure as well. Can I have the next slide? Green cuisine, the concept of green cuisine was started to avoid food wastage, achieve food security, promote sustainable agriculture, and reduce carbon imprints. Now, minimizing food waste is smart storage, is what we can do. Proper storage techniques, employ appropriate storage methods such as refrigerator, freezing, or using airtight containers to prolong the shelf of your produce. Creative leftover utilization, that's another movement that has started. Don't no wastage. If you have made a meal and there is some food that is left, you should have the art of creating a new dish out of that leftover, because the family would not be interested in eating the same food for the second meal. But we as chefs can create something interesting out of the leftovers. Now, for example, you know, when there are big banquets or there are big functions, there's a lot of food wastage. We all should spread this awareness that cook as much as required. All right. If you're having guests, you can't calculate the exact percentage, but whatever little is left, don't throw. Try to reuse it in any way that pleases you, be it maybe cooking or sharing. But don't put the food in the dustbin. Another suggestion here also comes to my mind. If it is a commercial venture, you're cooking for a kitchen, reduce the portion size. Don't give large portions because, you know, it is a psychological effect. The food that comes in front of you, you feel, no, you can't eat. People are so conscious. They are dieting or they are wanting to taste lot many varieties, but they are not able to finish the food in their plate, and that food is totally wastage. Now, who's going to eat the jhuta food? Once tasted, it's of no use for somebody else. So if you reduce the portion size, you would be controlling the food. You will the percentage of wastage would reduce remarkably. Now, why choose green cuisine? Please, the next slide. It adds fiber to the diet. Heard of the saying, the greener the plate, the cleaner is the diet. A very old adage, proverb. If you eat green and fresh, your gut health is taken care of. And in Ayurveda, they say whatever you eat and is digested is what you threw out of the body. Now that undigested food are the toxins that create the imbalance in your body, and that is the real cause of all the diseases. You see, you must have heard the cancer patient are being treated now only through their diet. You know that famous stand-up comedian? I'm forgetting his name. He's from Punjab. Can anybody give me the name?
Navjot Singh Sidhu.
Yeah, Navjot Singh Sindhu. He just said his wife, who's suffering from cancer, was treated only through a diet, to a healthy gut. Now, what is a healthy gut? Everyone has the same intestines, but if you clear the gut, there is no toxins in the gut. You are the healthiest person. And in Ayurveda practices also, they all advise that keep your gut the cleanest, and that is only through high fiber diet. You know, the dietitians now, the fashion is that, well, you're seeing a dietitian. Why do you see a dietitian? Because you're not able to manage your food, you're not able to control your food, and you're eating wrong foods. And because of that, you're either putting on weight, or you have PCODs, and you have multiple other problems. But if you go to an Ayurveda, or if you go to a learned person, the first thing they advise is eat a balanced diet, eat a high fiber diet. And that is exactly what the green cuisine talks about, that if you keep your gut clean, you have taken care of your entire health, which is a very simple formula. Have a high fiber diet, have a fresh diet, have a green diet. And it's so simple. If your food is good, there's no need for medicine. Don't let medicine be your food. Let your food be your medicine. That is what Ayurveda talks about. Ayurveda, in nutshell, is nothing but a balance between Vat, Pitta, and Kapha. And those are the three important elements of nature. And we are made of 5 elements: air, water, air, space. And if you keep a balance between Vat, Pitta, Kapha, and the 5 elements, you will never have to see any doctor. You don't have to diet. You'll have a healthy gut and a healthy body and a healthy mind. So green cuisine talks about all this, and just few principles need to be taken care of, and you're a healthy person. Okay. Why choose green cuisine? Because it is low in calories. Since most of the food is plant-based, it is low in calorie vis-a-vis its non-vegetarian counterparts. Green cuisine provides overall health, reducing the risk of contracting heart diseases. Plant-based diets also help reduce cholesterol levels and spike in blood glucose. India is the largest is the country with largest number of diabetic and heart patients. So let us control through food so that India number doesn't rise. We are able to have at least some control at some given point. Cuts food wastage. The Food and Agriculture Organization claims food waste to be the third largest emitter of greenhouse gases. Excessive food production not only causes wastage of water to grow, harvest, transport, and package of food, but also energy, fuel to transport goods. Green cuisine encourages the consumption of seasonal produce, which reduces the carbon footprint and food wastage. Reduces greenhouse gases. A plant-based diet has the potential to reduce an individual's carbon footprint up to 1.5 ton annually. So each individual can control 1.5 ton of carbon imprint only through following green cuisine. An animal-based diet, on the other hand, have a high impact on our planet. An increasing demand for meat and dairy requires more land, which causes deforestation to make room for animal farms and growing animal feed. While green cuisine also boosts health, with increasing awareness about rising carbon emissions, people are prioritizing health. And this has led to an ever increasing demand for vegetarian options. Over 1.5 billion people worldwide, approximately 22% of the global population, have embraced a vegetarian lifestyle. Green cuisine is rich in vitamin A, C, K, folate, antioxidants, calcium, and offers wholesome nutrition. Can I have the next slide, please? Is it the 10th slide, please? Can you just check? No. Okay. Uh, yes, this one. Supports local economy. Green cuisine includes a range of fruits, vegetables. Since the food is vegetarian, it can be grown and produced locally. This helps boost the country's agriculture, allowing farmers to produce the meat of the demands of population, giving further boost to the local communities engaged in agriculture business. And we all know India is an agriculture based economy. We Our economy is running smooth because of our farmers. So we need to boost them, we need to support them, and we need to see that the farmers are in a comfortable and an education society. Now earlier times, farmers were the most uneducated class because they could not send their children to good schools. But now the government has taken the initiative where schools are being made in all these small villages, and each farmer is ensuring the child is sent to a school and is exposed to further studies, which is a very important step taken by the government. Collaborating with farmers and suppliers is what we need to do, because once we understand what the farmers want, we can also tell them what we need, and accordingly the farmer would grow what is required by us. So it is a win-win situation for the farmer and the consumer. We can drive innovation. Chefs can drive innovations in the culinary industry by experimenting with new techniques, ingredients, and dishes that are both delicious and sustainable. So it's a big challenge for all the chefs to create a new menu, to create menus along the local produce. And I tell you, in Italy, the concept is you go to a restaurant and you ask them for a menu. Daily the menu changes only because that those dishes are dependent on whatever produce the farmer gives them. And they have no say in that. The chefs in the restaurant cook whatever they get from the market, and then they make the menu. So this concept, I think, is very much required in India, because till now when we go to an Indian restaurant, we find dal, we find chana, we find paneer and aloo. These are the four staples of any Indian restaurant. So chefs and other people, other collaborators can come forward and change and make a big breakthrough in the menus of India. It is very important, and I think it's really required to bring that change and make fresh menus and fresh out of the fresh produce. You see, it is for the chef, it is for the cook to give to the diner what he can cook the best. And I can assure you, the diner would enjoy. He will not turn back and say, "Oh, I'm not eating in your restaurant because you don't have dal or you don't have makhni dal." Trust me, there are few restaurants that I visited in Bangalore where they're out of the city by the near farms and small little villages. they go and they ask the diner to go and pluck whatever the favorite vegetable is, and they would cook accordingly. Now, what best than this, that you're choosing your own vegetables? You learn so much. You learn to pick up the right vegetables, the ripe vegetables as well. And something which is unripe is really not should be consumed. It's very important to have the right ripeness in your fruits and vegetables, because our systems are not made to consume the unripe or the unprocessed food, because the gut is not going to digest. It's just going to pass out from your stomach in case it is not well ripe. It will not even give you the flavor. When you eat a raw banana, you cannot eat like a fruit. You can only eat like a vegetable. It requires a certain cooking. So we have fruits and vegetables which requires a certain amount of temperature in case they are raw. In case they are fully ripened, then you need very little cooking. That's another point of saving the energy. You must consider buying vegetables which are well ripe, which easy to cook, quicker to cook. You are saving so much energy, which is doing good to the planet. Okay, some key areas to consider for green kitchen designs and sustainability. Now, this is what we need to focus on. We need to design our kitchen, or we need to use materials in our kitchen which are on sustainable principles. Designing a modern restaurant kitchen with eco-friendly materials not only reduces the environmental footprint, but also promotes sustainability as a core value of the establishment. Here is a guide to sustainable materials for various kitchen components. I'll share with you. I think we have it in the next slide. Can we just put the 11th slide? Another one. Oh, sorry. No, sorry. We'll go back. We'll go back. No, we'll go back to the 11th one, please. Okay. Energy efficient appliances. Well, there's no dearth of for these energy saving appliances in the market today. So whenever you are planning a commercial kitchen, or you're planning a kitchen other than a commercial, you can even buy the smaller appliances which will save the energy and can be used in the domestic area. Discuss energy efficient appliances, water saving fixtures, and smart technology. Today, technology is playing such a big role in our kitchens because it gives us a saving of energy, water, which is again a big issue in India. We need to be very conscious about the water consumption. And then recycle materials. Check with building engineers. What are the recycled materials that can be used in your kitchen? Waste reduction strategies. Emphasize composting, recycling, and reducing food waste. Natural lighting and ventilation. Discuss the importance of natural light and proper ventilation. If your kitchen is in a position, for example, southeast, if you plan a house or you plan your kitchen in southeast, there'll be enough natural light. The sun is maximum in southern areas. So if you have a southeast direction, you have full of sunlight, and also you're following the Vastu. According to the Vastu directions, southeast is the area for your cooking area because it is considered area for fire. So if there is natural heat in it, you're saving from so many other things. Enough ventilation will save you a lot of electricity bill. You don't have to use so many fans. You don't have to use so many exhaust. Indoor air quality. Highlight the use of non-toxic paints, cleaning products, and air purifying plants. Green kitchen practices. Mindful consumption is the most important thing. Be very mindful whenever you're consuming anything. By mindful, I don't mean that you put your mind into it throughout, but be conscious. Either you're buying a product or you're eating or you're cooking, in all your steps, your consciousness should be there. You should be aware of what you are doing. That's really very important. And mind you, If you follow these, your the generation to follow will also understand. You're leaving a legacy behind. So mindful consumption encourages conscious choices in food purchasing and preparation. So if you buy, you see, the first step towards this is your preparation. If you're well prepared, it is faster to produce and low on wastage. Reducing food waste, as I said, share tips for storing food properly, meal planning, and composting. The government of India has already introduced you have to have two kind of waste, dry waste and wet waste. So wet waste also means you could compost in a pot if you don't have a garden. If you have a garden, if you have some piece of land, try and composting all the kitchen peels, all the food wasted. Either an animal eats, like if you could share it with a dog or you could share it with cows, it will be so nice. Otherwise, try and make a compost out of it. Your plant will be 10 times healthier than the regular compost. Sustainable cleaning practices. Discuss the use of natural cleaning products, avoiding harsh chemicals. About, say, till 30 years back, not very long back, it was a common practice to burn coal. Now, the coal ash was meant to clean the utensils made out of brass or any metal, be it steel. But now the whole world has changed. Coal is taken a backseat because of the pollution. It's not allowed in the metropolitans. But the ash of that coal was a natural cleaner and also a disinfectant. The uh, uh, I'm sure most of you must have seen the cow dung. Now, the cow dung, along with some mud, was applied on the houses as a layer, as a paint. In place of the paint, this was these were the walls were painted with the cow dung and the mud mixture as a disinfectant. You have no flies. And on nowadays we have all out. Every house has an all out, and what are you smelling is only chemicals. So just see if somehow you could control using these chemicals in your daily lives. It'll be a great saving for all of us. Uh, as I said, some time back, we were using coal as in place of fire. Also, we were using wood logs. Now, the ashes from the wood log, as well as the coal, as I said, was used as a natural cleanser. This was our culture. You're preserving culture. The use of local ingredients is an incredible way to rediscover traditional dishes. Green cuisine helps preserve cultural identity and your belongingness. The government also promotes and pushes vegetarian food, highlighting India's plant-based culinary heritage. Tackles food crisis. Most countries battle hunger crisis for not being self-sufficient and rely heavily on imports. Since green cuisine involves the use of local and seasonal ingredients, sources from local farmers to produce food free from chemicals and preservative, it helps to meet the demand for the local population. Green cuisine also promotes sustainability, embraces sustainable practice beneficial for the mankind. Could I have the next slide, please? No, I think you have gone too far. The government of India took several steps to promote sustainability in agriculture to give a push to green cuisine in India. So government has an equal hand in promoting what we are calling it a green cuisine. The implementing the National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture started by PM Pranam to promote the use of alternate fertilizer. We have heard this many a times that Indian food is one of the healthiest in the world, but now there is enough evidence to support this claim. According to the Living Planet report, India leads its way to the top in sustainable food consumption among the G20 nations. India's food plate has been considered to be the greenest in the world, and our diet is considered environmentally sustainable. Other countries such as US, Argentina, Australia have ranked at the bottom of the list for providing the least sustainable food consumption practices. Unhealthy diet are linked to environmental damages and climate change. The report also considered India's dietary habits to cause a notable reduction in environmental damage, mitigating the impact of climate change by 2050. However, it was stated that if the world continues to adopt the current food consumption pattern of the major economies by 2050, we would exceed 1.5 uh, uh, climate target for food related greenhouse gas emission by 263 percentage. That's a real high in volume. I think we need to save our earth. Government of India's contribution towards green cuisine. There has been a significant steps taken by our government to promote green cuisine. The Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana was launched in 2015 as a centrally sponsored program dedicated to advancing organic farming. The objective was to produce agricultural products free from chemicals and pesticides residues by using eco-friendly and low-cost technology. So this Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana or PKY was introduced to support and promote organic farming so that soil health could be improved. It was also rolled out to reduce the cost of agriculture to farmers through sustainable and integrated organic farming system. It also aimed to protect the environment from hazardous inorganic chemicals through the use of eco-friendly, low-cost traditional techniques and farmer-friendly technologies. Can I have the next slide, please? Impact on business and restaurants, right? We'll do this. Green cuisine helps promote sustainable practices and gives a boost to the environment. It has had the following impact on business and restaurants. Adds varieties to the menu. The biggest thing what a diner needs is whenever I walk in, I want something new. And if you do this by using the local produce or the seasonal produce, you're giving them a good variety. Another point here is that if you could interchange, India is a country of vast repertoire of recipes. If somebody could do a Punjabi food with a South Indian masala, this is just an idea. And see, you will have diners. If you're in a commercial kitchen or you're in a business of restaurants, you're giving them a chance to experience in Punjab a combination or a fusion food. But of course, keeping your legacy and keeping in mind not to spoil the cultural food. I remember the statement by our Prime Minister when he was speaking in US, and he said, we as Indians never take pride in our cuisine. Why? Till such time you take pride in your own self, who else will? Why should we talk about pizza, pasta, burger, and the fast food when India has such a diverse variety of food? The other day I was reading which said Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore was once visiting Punjab, and he told the famous writer Bhishma Sahani, the famous playwright, and the actor Balraj Sahni's elder brother, why have you left writing in Punjabi and taken up English? He felt so ashamed. He says, I'm from this land of Punjab and I'm not able to contribute to my own mother tongue. And since then, he started writing in his own language. See the impact, because You're born, you're brought up in a particular state. You understand the soil, you understand the language, you understand the cuisine so well, other than anybody else who can talk about that food. Who can be a better ambassador than you yourself, who's born, brought up in a certain area? So learn to cook, learn to restore the recipes and promote that food culturally, because nothing better than you. If the prime minister, if for example you are as an ambassador for a certain food, go to another country and start promoting their cuisine, as though we have nothing to offer. India is a large country and a variety of food. Why don't we talk about our culture? Take pride in it. Why is that India is being taken by the Italian food? I want to know. I'll ask you one small question. We are trying to follow what is peri peri, what is the Italian ingredients. Do we ever talk about our own ingredients like hing? We try and search an English name for it. Oh, it's asafoetida. But why? Why don't you just say it's hing? Why don't you say it's kesar, saffron? Why do we have to find something which we need to translate to somebody, to a foreigner? For us, anybody outside other than India is a foreigner. They don't bother. They always talk that, well, our food is bland. Now, what is bland? Our food is not bland. Our food is a variety, is a whole culture where we can go on telling them the use of sarson in an oil, or a use of mustard seeds in a South Indian cuisine. Look at the variety. One should be proud of it and talk about our culture, talk about our practices, and see, they will honor you. I'm telling you out of my own experiences. I was in Italy. I lived there for about 2.5 years. And when I would go to the concerts, or I would go to these conferences and talk and give a demo, that I will only do an Indian food demo, because I just know that cuisine. And so should anybody else say. Take pride. Take pride in your country. And today, ever since, I must say this to Mr. Modi, that ever since he has started talking about the Indian culture, the whole world is looking upon us. So this is the time. Encash on this and talk about the cultural practices. Talk about the cuisine practices. You are all from the hospitality, so food should be your second nature. And why not? Why don't you sell that in a plate, and maybe you can make a better business out of it? Well, why should I go out and eat Italian cuisine? Let them come here. Let them learn. And don't say, this is very spicy. Don't have this. Yes, please. Somebody is asking for some question. Or should I move further? Okay, we are talking about its add variety to the menu, as businesses and restaurants are opting for plant-based diet consisting of minimally processed foods. Now, see, you're saving. You're not using processed food. You're saying you're just using the fresh crop or the freshly grown vegetables in your backyard, or bought from the market as fresh as possible. I think I need to have the next slide. Another important term is eco-friendly packaging. India didn't believe in packaging. So therefore, we never focus that how can your food be packed. The general concept in India was freshly cooked, freshly eaten. But now I understand, everybody, the parents, both parents are working, mother and father. So it's not possible for the lady of the house to cook all the meals. Yes, they are looking for convenience. They would want some food that they can order and it comes at their doorstep and you all enjoy your meal. So then comes the packaging. Now the restaurant business are very high. There's a large number of people getting into the food production businesses. So there comes the now, when we're talking about green cuisine, we need to take care of the packaging as well. We can't say the food is green, the cuisine is green, but the packaging material is plastic. So you have to take care of that aspect as well. Uh,
Ma'am,
Money. Yeah, yeah. You have a question?
yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, just now the mic has been activated. Until then, I couldn't talk.
Okay.
Um, you are saying about that we should be proud of our cuisine. Definitely, I am proud of our cuisine. But if you see, if you spoil the education system of a country, you can spoil the entire country. And what in IHM's Institute of Hotel Management were taught is out of the 6 semesters those days, only one semester for Indian cuisine, and it will be mostly dedicated for Western food. That is mostly baking and patisserie, and we have sweets, but it was not taught so much. We have so many states and so many different varieties of food which is not taught so much. So now only slowly hotel management institutes are recognizing that even Indian cuisine has to be taught from the SEM 1. So we are slowly starting to incorporate our recipes in SEM 1 up to SEM 6 till the students leave. So I feel our institute should start a complete Indian cuisine diplomas, certifications, or even a degree, because there is so much to learn from within this country, which we are not doing. So this is there is a fundamental issue here about learning Indian cuisine, which every academician should address it.
Uh, should I start answering for you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah. See, I agree. The education system was in a different position earlier. We were following the British pattern. So much so, you would be surprised that in certain schools, English was taught from the KG and the Hindi, our mother tongue, came in the third standard. So gradually there is a shift. Likewise, in the hotel management, there is now a complete course on vegetarian, Indian vegetarian food. Can you believe that? There's a complete syllabus on Indian sweets. Because I visit IHM Pusa and I know it, we have discussed this numerous times, that from now onwards, from last 2 or 3 years, there's a whole syllabus on Indian cuisine and a whole syllabus on Indian sweets as specialty, because the word halwai is considered as a very derogatory position for any cook. Oh, you're a halwai. But why so? Because the halwai was never given a position as of a pastry chef, if I'm correct. But you know something? In my hotel, I was with ITC for almost 29 years. We had the same section of halwai along with the pastry, because we gave equal mileage to the man making gulab jamuns and the guy making a small cake. It was a sweet dessert for in both the cases. But I agree with you 100%. And I think all hotel management institutes should take this point very seriously and take it as a point where they have to take it on a management level to say, introduce this Indian sweets and Indian syllabus, Indian cookery syllabus as a mainstay. You just wait for some time and this will be there. You will have chefs who will be expert in Indian vegetarian cuisine. I promise you that, because I'm working extensively on it with most of the IHMs.
Because I studied in the 90s, and those days we were taught more custards and puddings and all that, but not much of how to make like son papdi or any special Indian sweets. So,
Yes,
and
yes,
maybe
yes,
the
yes,
skill
yes.
was also lacking there from the professor lecturers. So now I think it's good time that we introduce our own cuisine, at least 50%, so that remaining 50% can be international.
No, yeah, 50% is a good percentage, but now we are planning to have a course for 100% Indian menus and Indian cookery, Indian sweets, we don't have sauces, but Indian curries in particular. They have to practice how to have the traditional Indian food and the all interstates, like you can say, whatever food, whichever state they belong to, they have to specialize in that food in particular. That is what the target is.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Because last week I was in Switzerland to tour Swiss hotel schools,
Yeah.
and all they teach is their European food and one or two foods here and there from Japan and India and all that. But here it is very sad that maximum we teach Western food and one or two here and there Indian, which really bothered me. That's why I
Now
raised
India
this.
is becoming has got a presence on global map. See that as well. India is rising and shining. So
Yes,
accordingly, you find Indians everywhere, and then they will have the food according. Like you see Gujarati all over. So they have some Gujarati store.
yes.
Understand the presence accordingly. So they will have. Just wait for some time, another 2-3 years, and you will have a lot of students and chefs coming out from the hotels, specializing in Indian cuisine.
Thank
So
you, ma'am.
let us finish this. Is the last
Good
bit.
evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Vijendra Nunwal this side, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, I have one question. Like, what ingredients do you often substitute for more sustainable options in your cooking?
See, I would only do whatever is locally available and whatever is seasonally available. And another point I would tell you is the simpler the food, simpler the ingredients, simpler the food, and the tastiest food. I give a right example of cooking ghee or bottle gourd. What do? You just peel, chop, cut, and put little bit of desi ghee, hing, zira, salt, lal mirch, haldi, and dhania, and you're done. How can a food be more simpler than this and the healthiest? So I would never like to substitute whatever is available. Cook the food in those ingredients. Have I answered your question?
Yes, yes, ma'am. But what I see in the market that the carrot is available around the year, and there
Yes,
are few that many vegetables will which are available around the year. So they are
yes,
not seasonal actually. Even though
yes,
the people they are using them and they are that utilizing them for making the various dishes, which does not contain the nutritional value.
yes. I agree. You see, there's a big climate shift. There's a big climate change all over the world. You see, the summers are no more the summers we used to have it in April, May, June, July. Winters would
True, true.
start in December, whereas earlier, 20 years back, the winters would shift in by February and autumn would start. There's a shift of climate, one thing. Secondly, let me tell you, uh, it is we people who encourage the farmers to give us carrots in summers and peas round the year. कॉलीफ्लावर इज वन एग्जाम्पल जो आपको 12 महीने, गोभी आपको 12 महीने मिलेगी. घिया जो कि गर्मियों की सब्जी है वो आपको आज भी यू कैन इट्स अवेलेबल इन द मार्केट. व्हाई? वी इनकरेज देम. We have to tell the farmers. That's what I mean. The interaction between the consumer and the farmer is very, very important. Why? Because the farmer is given the direction, what is required. उसको अब उसको वो बनाना है जो उसका बिक जाता है and he is able to get some money out of it.
Yes,
उसके लिए
yes, you included that in your PPT.
वो उसके लिए प्रोड्यूस वही है that gives him enough bank balance. So we also
True,
have to
true.
be a conscious person not to consume and tell the farmer not to do this. It is both ways.
So it means that the consumer they have to decide what they want to eat that should be nutritional and moreover
Yes,
seasonable.
yes. And I'll give you one example. आपको मटर गर्मियों में शायद 200-300 रुपए किलो मिलेगी, बट इन विंटर्स आपको 70 रुपए किलो मिलेगी. So I say this in most of my talks: buy the cheapest vegetable available in the market. अगर आपको टमाटर 20 रुपए किलो मिलता है यानी वो सीजन का है, बिकॉज इट इज इन अबंडेंस इन ग्रोथ, मतलब उसकी जो ग्रोथ है वो मैक्सिमम में है. अगर वही चीज आप गर्मियों में खरीदते हैं तो आपको महंगा मिलेगा, जो कि विंटर की वेजिटेबल है. अब घिया आपको गर्मियों में सीजन में 15 रुपए किलो मिलेगी, मगर अभी आप जाएंगे तो शायद 80-90 रुपए किलो मिलेगी. Why should we eat that at this time? No need. I hope I'm able to come to your point, what I'm trying to
Yes,
say.
ma'am. Yes, yes, yes. I got your point, and truly it was amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. So anyway, coming to eco-friendly packaging in India, yeah, uh, it is also called green packaging. Largest emittance of plastic waste globally. India is the largest plastic waste. 1/5 of the world's plastic emissions, approximately 9.3 million metric tons a year. So you can imagine the kind of plastic Indians are wasting. Every year, Business India are putting their best foot forward to do their bit for the environment. They are adopting innovating ways of selling their products and revamping the materials package for the consumer. The tremendous makeshift in product packaging is to make products easy to use as well as environmental friendly. Plastic containers have been swapped out of and eco-friendly materials, often made out of recycled products, and are becoming increasingly popular to create minimal impact on energy consumption or natural resources. You see, you're finding, say now, coming back to old times, 50 years back, we were using leaves for packaging our food. We were having chaat ka pattas and donas made out of those leaves. They have evaporated. Why? Because there are no more trees. We are cutting the trees and building buildings. How can you have that? How can you have the natural packaging? And how can you think of something which is eco-friendly? Because we are constructing, we are damaging our nature. You know, the example of this is Kedarnath ka jo bahut bada waterfall, जो landslide हुआ था केदारनाथ में. You know what was the research and they came to that? What was the finding? Because the landfill was shifted. They are cutting down the mountains, they're cutting down the natural resources, and mankind is making buildings on it. So that needs to be controlled. One house for one family is more than enough than having 5 houses, one as an outhouse, one as a holiday house, one as a luxury house. So these are the simple steps we need to take in order to maintain nature. We are playing havoc with nature. So nature is giving back to us. It may not be relevant to the discussion we are doing now, but if you think deep down, you will understand what is the importance of taking care of nature. Anyway, the packaging material we have now is from plant-based materials. This packaging gets disposed of and breaks down in a way that is kinder to the environment than plastic. You can't biodegrade, it's not biodegradable. So something which is not biodegradable, how can you do it? Now I'll give you a simple example. As I said, our body is made of 5 tattvas, and we have those 5 tattvas are in nature: earth, water, fire, air, and space. That is nature. And our body is also made of these 5 elements. So that nature gets into our body and the body is made. Now, other than that, the body is not nature. The body will not take it. And that is where the disbalance comes. And that is what we have to be conscious of. This, of course, technology is always welcome, but these man-made toxins are what we have to control. And that is why we are here to discuss what is green cuisine, because this is the havoc nature has played, and we are going against that. We are working against nature, and now we are finding solutions to be in harmony with nature, and you are always healthy. Nothing needs to be done. However, study metals produced can be used. Cheap quality metal cans are at a risk of corrosion and change the quality and taste of the food, affecting its shelf life. You must have seen, you must have bought some soups or some sauces in a can, and if the food remains in those cans for a longer time, they start getting corroded, and that corrosion between the food and the metal, that that interaction, and there's a reaction of consuming that food in our bodies, because that food turns into toxins, and that is what we need to take care. But imagine now, more and more tins that we use, for example, packaging food, we are using tin. A good example of this is sauces. We get ready to eat sauces in cans. Coke. Coke is widely used. Now, why should we have that? Because, uh, God forbids, there are cases when the cans have burst, and it creates toxins in the food and the nearby air and the environment, that has killed mankind. So we need to take control of this. Now, what are the benefits of eco-friendly packaging? Eco-friendly packaging makes a real difference in reducing the carbon footprint, and businesses, most of these solutions are made from recycled natural materials. The following are the benefits of going green in packaging. Edible cutlery is one. You do. There's no need to throw. You eat the food and eat the cutlery. The edible cutlery is also crafted from natural ingredients, making them safe for consumptions. These are rich in nutrients as they use natural and edible ingredients such as wheat, rice, sorghum, and other grains. These utensils comes in various shapes and sizes. And glass is another thing, of course, very expensive alternate to packed food, but it's one of the safest way of consuming food and keeping the food for a longer shelf life. Eco-friendly packaging are easy to dispose. Creations of landfills full of waste materials made out of plastic has been the biggest issue of businesses. Eco-friendly packaging is easy to reuse and dispose. They're biodegradable and or recyclable. Users make them user-friendly and apt for recycling. It removes toxins and allergens. Most traditional packaging producers use synthetic materials which are laden with chemicals. Now, chemicals play a havoc on us. Eco-friendly packaging alternates are non-toxic, often using biodegradable materials that are allergy-free. Allergy is the biggest challenge for mankind today, because you don't know what an individual can react to a particular ingredient or a particular allergen. I'll just end by saying, by following these guidelines and incorporating your unique culinary expertise, you can create an informative and inspiring presentation that promotes the principles of green cuisine. I would end here, and I welcome any questions. I throw the questions on the floor. Um, I'm ready. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having the patience and listening to me.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Please.
Ma'am, as one of the chef was mentioning on day one, Mr. Chef Anirban Gupta,
Huh.
why Indian cuisine are not promoting much in all the HM colleges.
Huh.
And also one of the chef recently was also talking about this. And as on day one, Chef Anirban Gupta also taken a session in Indian cuisines and
Very nice.
ancient ages Indian cuisine was in World Health. So can you tell me how ancient usage of Indian cuisine as green cuisine showcased to the whole world? So do you think that this type of sessions of Indian cuisine should be more in HM colleges to promote green cuisine as well as the ancient usage of Indian cuisine?
Well, Indian cuisine is 80% green cuisine, first and foremost. And when you say ancient cuisine is nothing but following in harmony with nature. If you pick up any old recipe, they will they will not be using any toxins, they will not be using any chemicals, and they were all in harmony with the promoters of the farming lands and the food and the culture. So there is no scope for going against green cuisine. They are part of green cuisine. Secondly, you're talking about Indian cuisine being taught in IHMs. There is very soon there will be an entire course on Indian cuisine. They are already working on it. There's a whole syllabus, as I just said in my lecture, that there is a whole cuisine of Indian cuisine, a whole syllabus on Indian cuisine. You will find more and more chefs working only on Indian cuisine. Because see, it's a cycle. If there are more Indian restaurants, you need more Indian chefs. You need cooks to work. The chefs need a job, and the restaurants need people like you who's interested in Indian cuisine to be a part of their restaurant. It's a give and take question, you know. Of course, the more restaurants open, more chefs are required, and more chefs will be absorbed by those restaurants. And I see a lot of Indian restaurants coming up in most of the cities as I travel in India, and as well as abroad. I've traveled at so many places. I was in Dubai and see the number of Indian restaurants, and they were doing fantastically well. And they hire some of the best chefs internationally. Indians, of course, because an Indian, nobody can cook a better Indian food than an Indian. So they have a bright future. And the chefs who learn Indian cuisine have a very bright future, not in India, all over the globe.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. I see Mr. Kamlesh Kumar.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, very good evening.
Good evening.
Ma'am, thank you so much for the insightful knowledge that you gave it to us. Uh, it was a wonderful session. So
Thank you.
my question to you is, it is not related to green cuisine, but related to the food safety. Ma'am, nowadays we see, I'm from IHM Delhi, basically. I am an assistant lecturer working since last 5 years. So my question is, as we see number of small kiosks, so in layman language, thela jo hum that we say, right? Not a proper kiosk, but a food thela basically. That
Hmm.
is increasing day by day, and with no knowledge of food safety, no knowledge of danger zone, they just get a certificate of FSSAI from local cyber cafes. They are opening the food kiosk basically. So, as you have seen, both Indian food culture and the abroad food culture and the business side of it. So, how do you, I mean, what is your opinion on this? Because as a faculty, we are facing few problems related to the cuisines of India and European cuisines also. Just an instance, I'll tell you, I'll just take a minute. In the first class, I was having a conversation with a student about these sauces. So when I started talking about sauces, the mother sauces, and I asked how to make a white sauce for white sauce pasta. One of the students of mine gave an amazing reply. Just mix, saute some vegetables and add mayonnaise and water, and you get a white sauce and mix the vegetables along with boiled pasta. So this is the thing that we are getting from them. Yes, because of some food bloggers and the videos that are very popular in social media, they are getting this type of their kind of knowledge. So what is your say on this, ma'am?
Okay, I'll start from the point when you're saying the street vendors who are making thelas and stalls on the roadside.
Yes.
There is no hygiene level you're talking about, or you're talking about the rules and regulations?
Rules and regulations, no hygiene practices. They keep the semi-cooked meat for hours, so they do not have any knowledge about danger zone, keeping quality, storing quality, how to store. So
I agree that is a
all
gray
this,
area. I agree with you
yes,
100%. That's a gray area. But the government is coming out with a lot of rules and regulations as controlling these vendors and street food people, because
Mm-hmm.
they are causing a lot of harm, and it gives a very wrong message to people who are travelers, that is this the quality
Yes,
of
ma'am.
food, is this the real Indian culture? So that is the government is coming. I don't know if you know it. There's a very big what shall you say, a community, in Delhi, and
Mm-hmm.
all across India. They're forming
Mm-hmm.
a committee for the street vendors. There's a big
Mm-hmm.
set of rules. The FSSI is controlling it. They're not
Mm-hmm.
giving certificates to people who don't attend their training and follow their norms. So
Yes,
very
ma'am.
soon it will be like, unless until you have a license, you're a licensed vendor, you will not be allowed to sell. And but you see, this is one area which is not controlled in smaller
Yes.
pockets. Anybody starts
Mm-hmm.
cooking and starts selling.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get my
Mm-hmm.
point? And there is no
Yes,
control.
ma'am.
Ab like ek aadmi cycle pe, he cooks something and he keeps it at
Mm-hmm.
the back and goes to sell. वो
True,
उसका
true,
बिक
true.
जाता है. अब
Mm.
that bit I agree with you, and I'm fully with you, and we have raised this question many a times, that how do we control that? You see,
Yes,
how
ma'am.
do we control?
In one
But
of
now I'll tell you, I was so surprised, in major metros also, there are urinals on the road. And just to
mm,
maybe 10 meters away from the urinal, this guy is cooking, making dal and roti, and he's selling
mm,
paranthas on a thela.
mm,
This is certainly not, shouldn't be allowed. But
mm.
this is one sector which is not, which goes uncontrolled. There's no control, and the police wallahs are the one to enjoy the maximum
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
benefit.
ma'am. Very true. Very true. They just take you monetary benefits from them, and then
Yes,
they just give them the permission. And it is happening in the open market. Everyone is having, because people nowadays, those who have smaller pocket size, um, they are looking for taste more than the safety.
correct.
So, and even if we talk about the authenticity, I personally think we are losing the authenticity of the products, because they are making the same chop masala or same makhni gravy, and for butter masala or shahi paneer, they are using that makhni gravy. For kadai paneer, they are using some sorted,
Yeah, yeah, the
they
idea
cut
is
some
some
onion.
pink red gravy. That's it. They don't have a concept of
Ha,
chutney, or they don't
added
have a
color.
concept of, khada masala or any, chopped masala. For them, it is a gravy, and you add chicken or you add mutton, which is pre-boiled or pre-cooked, or you add paneer or you
Yes,
add vegetables, and they are done. And they're
yes,
rolling business. They have a very good business. So that I agree with you 100%. That is happening all over the world, not just here. You go to Singapore, you go to Singapore is an organized sector. Sorry to say,
hmm,
Singapore is very well
hmm,
controlled. But you go to Thailand, you go to
hmm,
Hong Kong.
hmm.
The only thing is people follow the rules. Once they come on a certain road, there are restrictions, and the government takes care of them. Here, that is a sad part living
Missing.
in India, that one has to bear it.
Though Geo government of India is making various laws, but there are
The
few
implementation is very
flaws.
low,
Yes,
very,
yes,
very low implementation. And as a consumer, we are the sufferer. Why do we have bad
yes,
stomach?
ma'am.
Just because we are eating rotten food. We are eating the
Because
roadside
from
food.
children to elderly person, all are fond of having street foods uh, nowadays. That is
I
the thing, ma'am. And yes, ma'am.
Yes,
And ma'am, one more question, if
yes.
the organizer allows. Ma'am, does green cuisine only consist of vegetables, or it may have some non-veg products as well?
No, no, no. It doesn't talk about it. Non-vegetarian is very much a part of it, but it should follow certain norms. For example,
Okay.
earlier times, they would have non-fertilized food.
Yes, yes,
What they were like, the cows would go grazing.
yes,
Of course, beef
yes.
was there. India has been a non-vegetarian country. never been only a vegetarian. I'm not talking about the Mughals. I'm talking about the generations before Mughals. Even that time, India was a non-vegetarian consuming country, right? But
Yes, most are vegetarian. Yes, population.
they were following the green pattern, or they were
True.
following the natural pattern. There were no fertilizers, there were no chemicals. So that comes under uh, like a greener meat portion, as somebody's read, free range chicken and grass fed. Yes, that's true, I agree. So these are the things one has to take, and it comes under green cuisine.
Because ma'am, nowadays if we just talk about chicken, it is all broiler. These all are injection pushed
Yes,
for better, faster raising.
they're all
Same
steroids
similar
fed
to eggs. Steroid.
chickens.
Yes, ma'am. Because huge number of the huge demands, and they won't be able to supply otherwise. Same thing, ma'am. One request I would like to make it to you and as well as all the participants here. So if I mean, if we can raise this thing that all the street vendors who all are selling, setting up some kiosk, so they must have a certification, a small certification from the renowned IHMs or whatever, any hotel management colleges. Those are professional to teach about the food safety. Otherwise, they must not
No,
let
no,
open.
no. FSSI has laid a lot of conditions and lot of
Mhm,
norms and regulations. So
mhm.
you can't participate. See, they are not given all the advantages. If you're a certified street food vendor, they're giving lot many benefits. They are able to participate internationally. They're getting more funds. They can increase the money. But this is an unorganized sector, as I said.
Yes,
Anybody can become a vendor. Suppose tomorrow I want to make chai samosa on the road. I don't need a
yes,
certificate. I don't need a license. I can just go and stand and वो पुलिस
true.
वाले को थोड़ा पैसा दे के I'm in business.
True,
So
very true,
that is
very
the
true.
trouble. That is one challenge. Let's see. I hope we are able to find a solution one day.
Thank you, ma'am. Let's hope for the best. Thank you so much for your time, ma'am. Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you.
Good evening, ma'am,
Good evening.
and good evening, everyone. This is the time for asking the questions. If anybody have any queries, so please feel free to ask the questions.
Good evening,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
regarding green, for many things like buildings, etc., we are having green labels like LEED certified and so on. I think for recipes also, especially those ones that are served at star hotels, menu sometimes we see one chili, two chili, three chili indicating the spicy level. So maybe for food items also, we could indicate which one has got less carbon miles and so on, so that readers know that they have a choice to choose something which is friendlier to the planet. And this should come from somebody like FSSI, so that it becomes a practice that is across India, not just one or two restaurants.
No, well, and the most of the 5 stars and the 4 stars, because the cost factor comes in between. So the lower restaurants may not be able to afford this, till the time it is commonly practiced, and the costing it does not go high. But all the 5 stars would have calories, where it is sourced from, who comes and sells, and what are the star rating it has got. So that part, that green label is there in those thing. Now they are farmers market. So these farmers tell you where are they sourcing their product, who's growing, what are the conditions over there. But this is all a question of money. So the low grade restaurants may not be able to afford till the time this is certified by bodies like FSSI or the government of India. So now the government is working on it. Let me be very honest, because I am closely working with the government agencies, where Ministry of Agriculture is also working on it and finding out how to control all these factors and take care of general health. So that health factor has come up, and a lot of people are getting conscious. I think it will take some time, but it's on cards. It's on the Indian government cards.
Good evening, ma'am. This is Chef Aditya from Chitkara School of Hospitality.
Yes.
I have a question, ma'am. You said about edible cutlery.
Yeah.
So what I think is probably people or the organizations are not using edible cutlery because of there are many uh, points which are not which don't go in their favor. First is the cost. Second is the
Yes,
maintenance. Then it comes to the shelf life of the product and the quality
very
of the
true.
product.
I agree.
You know, a person if he's using a edible cutlery and he's trying to cut a dosa from it, and suddenly it breaks, so he would be asking for another one, which would be costing to the organization. So, is there any cost-effective ways to use some edible cutlery, or there are some scientific ways to enhance that particular cutlery? Because we tried the same in our college. Some of our students they tried to make edible cutlery. Now they use millets for that. Millets
Millet
plus
is another
parmesan.
sector that's coming up with cutlery, but yes, there is a very big challenge of storage because once it gets a little damp, it's not usable because they will not be as crisp to cut the food or to eat the food as it is. You'll be using some liquid, so it'll become further damp. That is one challenge we also
Ye-
discuss. Edible cutlery is there as a green cuisine, but not so much of practice. But the other thing that's coming up are the leaves. The supari, the wooden boxes, the wood layer of the tree trunks. Those are being used in packaging material. I don't know if you've seen, most of the chaatwalas use these green pattas for making the donas or the supari boxes. Have you seen those? I wish I'd known. I should have got some to show
Yes,
you.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
We have seen it.
The the
But the
kulche
question is
wala.
again, remains the same that those wood cutlery they will go under the category of green cuisine, green thing,
Yes.
but they're
Yes.
not edible one.
No,
I'm
no,
talking about
no.
the edible
Okay,
one.
why? Why are we talking about edible? Edible was tried as one of the options, and millet was the biggest thing that was tried because millet was the cheapest material available. But all of a
Exactly.
sudden, millet has become a superfood. So it has jumped from 10 rupees a kilo to 100 rupee a kilo. So nobody is going to make a millet edible crockery. Most expensive proposition. Till the time the raw material had to be cheap. Why is the disposables made out of green leaves? Because they're the cheapest, available in abundance. If you're making from millet is a very expensive product, so nobody would like to make a disposable cutlery or crockery from that. You have to see the cost factor, you have to see the availability, and you have to see the processing factor. So in the making of donas or making packaging material, packaging boxes from leaves and supari is the cheapest because it's widely available. Only the cost is the manpower. The manpower that makes the product is the only cost. But processing a millet and making a cutlery becomes expensive because they are not finding it easy to store. It requires a lot of space to store. So as you might be seeing, a lot of people are using glass, which are reusable. It is a one-time factor, yes, but then they are reusable as well. Whereas these other things, other packaging material from supari and leaves have to be thrown. They have to be disposed. It's a single use usage.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, one suggestion to everyone, which really works for us. Maybe I don't know how many people have the time. Balcony based small pots where we can grow our own curry patta, which we do, and we have our own certain creepers which we make chutney out of it. So if you see in a month, at least 5 to 6 times we are able to harvest and use that for the entire family. And if we all really focus on that, definitely we all can, at least in a month, a week's food can be at least some gravies or some chutneys can be made out of our own garden, which gives a lot of satisfaction as well as helps in making the country more towards green cuisine.
Absolutely, absolutely. Kudos to that. I'll share another example with you. We were living in some place in Indore, and I noticed they have small apartments and small terraces where they have grown 2 pots of tomatoes, 2 pots of brinjals, and 2 pots of ladyfingers. I said, but you are just two of you, you can't consume so much. So, that came such a brilliant idea that they exchange with their neighbors. They give them lady fingers because they can't be eating lady fingers every day, and they take another vegetable from them. Likewise, so what happens? They're not buying vegetables at all from the market, they're just exchanging within a small group. So everybody gets fresh vegetables, and they are growing something. As I always say, once you eat and eat fresh food, you must also learn to grow some food in your backyard. It's equally important. So if you have 4 pots or 6 pots, that's more than enough. Like curry patta is a very good example, and curry patta can be used comfortably in so many things. To making your temperings, making chutneys, and good for your health. It's supposed to be like a medicine. It works like a medicine. Wonderful idea. Very nice.
Ma'am, I have grown coriander, potatoes, tomatoes, even brinjal on my terrace.
Wonderful. How wonderful. See now, if you're growing 3, 4 vegetables is a variety, but if you've grown only 2 or 3, you possibly cannot eat every day or every second day or every third day. So if it is exchange, it's a barter. You give something and get something else. So you also get a variety, and the other person also gets a variety. This is how the society works.
Yes,
So
we do. Me and Ajay sir, Ajay Kumar sir from PCT College, we are doing the same thing.
oh, how nice. How nice. How nice. How nice.
It's pretty a good idea,
Yeah.
actually.
Uh,
Fresh vegetables, full nutrition value.
Yes, fresh vegetables grown right in. And सबसे बड़ा factor क्या है? You know what you're eating.
Yes,
Time
actually.
when you go out, you don't know what you're eating, what the person has cooked for you. कब का खाना था, क्या डाला, क्या नहीं डाला. This is right in front of you.
Moreover, which type of water they have used, that also.
Water, of course, yes, it is absorbed by the plant. The cleaner,
Yes.
the better. But the compost makes also another 50% difference. But very nice. I'm like, good to hear this. It's
Thank you,
so
ma'am. Thank you.
encouraging. So encouraging.
So thank you all for asking the questions. Now I would like to thank you, Chef Gunjan Goela ma'am, for sharing your incredible insights and passion for green cuisine with us today. Your perspective on sustainable and ethical culinary practices has been truly inspiring, from reducing food waste to embarrassing local seasonal ingredients. Your expertise has provided us with practical tool and a fresh outlook on how we can make a positive impact through our food choices. Your commitment to nourishing both our plates and our planet is a testament to the power of mindful living. We are deeply grateful for your time, knowledge, and enthusiasm. Thank you for guiding us towards a greener future. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed. I think Mr. Manikandan has raised a hand and he wants to ask something.
No, it was an old one. Sorry, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you so much. And I hope you pick up something and you're inspired to do some contribution of yours towards the green cuisine.
Yes, ma'am. It was an informative session. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes. So let's moving to the next session. Good evening once again, everyone. I extend a warm welcome to the Dr. Abhay Chamoli. Dr. Abhay Chamoli serves as an assistant professor in the School of Hospitality Management at IMS Unison University, Dehradun. He holds a PhD in hotel management with his doctoral research focusing on consumer behavior towards local cuisine in Uttarakhand, a region renowned for its rich culinary heritage and unique hill state traditions. His research field delves into understanding the interplay between consumer preferences food-related personality traits, and the role of regional food in tourism and sustainable practices. Dr. Chamoli's scholarly contribution include more than 10 research papers published in esteemed journals, indexed in UGC Care, ABDC, and Scopus, alongside several authored book chapters. He has also achieved for patent for innovations in kitchen and bar equipments. A certified food handler, he holds a diploma in food safety and nutrition and hazard analysis critical control points certification under Food Safety Management System from London. Reflecting his expertise in food safety and hygiene standards, Dr. Chamoli's professional affiliation include life membership and the prestigious Chefs Association of Five Rivers. He has earned 2 Limca Book of Records distinctions in the food domain, underscoring his creative and technical excellence. His industry experience spans renowned hospitality brands such as Oberoi Hotels, IHG, and the Imperial New Delhi, where he honed his culinary and managerial skills. Currently, his primarily research interests lie in consumer behavior with a specific focus on food-related personality traits. The influence of local and organic foods on tourist experiences and the role of food neophobia and trust in shaping food choices. Through his work, he aims to bridge the gap between academic research and practical applications in the hospitality and tourism industry. Now, over to you, sir.
Am I audible, Dr. Chaurasia?
Yes, sir.
So first and foremost, very warm good evening to one and all present. Thank you so much, Dr. Chaurasia, for such a warm and modest introduction. I am deeply honored to be part of this 6-day FDP program organized by PCTE group of institutions. A special thank to Chef Anirban, and he has been truly instrumental to bring such a diverse and experienced panel on board. And it's such a pleasure to listen to all of them. And it's a privilege to come from the foothills of Mussoorie and to share some insights with you all for the next 1 hour. So this is here I am, and please allow me to share my slides. Sir, please confirm, is my slide visible?
Yes, sir, it is
Not yet,
visible.
sir.
Visible.
Right.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Now it is
Yes,
visible,
sir.
sir.
Right then. Okay. So as you can see from the title, it says from farm to table branding hill cuisine for sustainable food tourism. So you can find too many keywords out here. It looks more like a research paper. Many of you must be wondering around that. So I will just make it simple for you. So among these, I will come one by one to each and everything, and I will just discuss them in a comprehensive style. And I will also, not only I will bring some challenges, I will also just suggest few suggestions also along with them. So what am I going to do with here is, being in Uttarakhand and working so long with local and organic food, I have been myself been part of the different struggles that farmers and different chef communities is facing in Uttarakhand. So here is basically nothing but basically a proposal which says that why can't we brand a particular cuisine with its special features? Now, branding itself is basically a marketing terminology. So what exactly is branding? So branding, I would like to just simplify branding initially, and then I will proceed. So branding is basically to identify some salient and specific features of a commodity or a product that differentiate it with its competitors. So this is what branding is all about. So if we somehow able to find out some unique features of our cuisine, it becomes very easy to brand it. Unfortunately, I will talk more into stats and quantitative things. So it looks very fascinating to hear that our food is wonderful. There is so much diversity, and of course it is. But let's look into the numbers. How many food tourists are we actually targeting? Just Google it for me, and then the results will be quite surprising. So here I am. I'll not only just discuss few things around this topic, but I will like to just give you an eye opener as well. So now, if I look forward to brand the hill cuisine, I should know the salient features of my cuisine as well. So I have taken Uttarakhand as the case study out here, but it is more or less similar for other hill stations as well. So currently, I am basically working along with few government officials as well. So there are actually 4 hill states that are into this sustainable tourism development program. So Sikkim is there, then Assam is there, then Arunachal is there, and of course Uttarakhand is also in the progression. So what makes it so unique? What makes hill cuisine so unique? That is the question. Now, locally sourced seasonal ingredients. Now, people may be saying that, yes, of course, every cuisine has locally sourced seasonal ingredients. What is special about the hill cuisine? Yes, every cuisine has locally sourced seasonal ingredients, but they are not totally relied on those ingredients for their daily staple consumptions. But if you talk about the hill states, they are totally relied upon their locally sourced seasonal ingredients. And above all, none of them deals with commercially marketed ingredients. Wheat and rice, not exactly, not a very prominent ingredient here in the hills. Of course, they have rice, but it is slightly different. Wheat, not exactly in that much capacity. So every ingredient in the hills have a cycle of 1 or more than 2 months maximum, and whatever they grow, that is basically runs into their staple diet. So locally sourced seasonal ingredients, one of the unique aspects of the cuisine. The second one is basically the traditional grains and pulses. So of course we have certain traditional grains, and those grains you will not find in a regular market. That can be fortunate, and it is unfortunate as well, that we will discuss later. And then it comes with pulses as well. So we do have certain indigenous quality of pulses here. And in my later slides, most probably in the end, because recipe conversion is not my aim today. My aim is basically to propose a model for a specific cuisine to get branded on the global map. That is my aspect. So we can follow the same aspect for other cuisines as well. So I will just show you in the end that what all basically indigenous grains and pulses we do have. Wild edible and herbs. So Uttarakhand especially, I will talk about this. We do have certain very, very indigenous wild edibles and herbs. And as per the latest quantitative research that we have undergone, is that around 65% of these wild edibles and herbs are used in basically Ayurvedic medicines. Patanjali being very nearby with us. So this is one of the aspects. This is one of the main unique aspect that we can discuss further. Minimal processing, maximum freshness. So it is not like that people doesn't want to work hard in the hills, but actually the basic nature of all these ingredients is that we does not actually require more processing into the cultivation aspect. Minimal processing actually gives you maximum freshness. The quality of ingredients that come out are really amazing. Now this is one of the most key aspect of our cuisine, that is organic by default. So why it is organic by default is because till now most of the areas in the high hills, they are not exposed to chemical fertilizers as yet. So people doesn't have this kind of exposure. What exactly how they have to use, and there are other aspects also regarding that. So since we have an organic cuisine by default, why can't we utilize it and brand it? That is the key aspect. Therapeutic in nature, not only these wild edibles and herbs, but also the staple diet that the people they consume in the high hills, they are therapeutic in nature. So nowadays, many upcoming 5-star properties, you will find many in Uttarakhand, but also in other parts of the nation. And globally also, you will find an Ayurvedic cuisine coming up. What exactly it is? It is basically nothing but basically a staple diet made from therapeutic ingredients. So that is again one of the unique feature of this cuisine. Okay. So if we need to propose a model for the people, people means the local inhabitants of the hills, we should have a revenue plan as well. So there is always an argument that people, they come up and they are like that, why can't we just skill up people in the high hills with some technical stuff? Why can't we just train them? Or sometimes they come up, why can't we set up industries in the hills? Why can't we just put up some factories in the hills and we can give employment to the people? Why food is the only option? So the answer is that there are several provinces in small provinces in high hills, majorly being three: the Kumaon division, the Garhwal division, and the Jaunsar division. And apart from that, we do have certain tribes as well. So every indigenous tribe, every indigenous province has their own set of culture, set of language barrier is there. Then their upbringing is also totally different. So if we really want to upskill these people, we got to have a common platform, and that is very difficult. Secondly, the rate of education is also one of the concern out there. And most important aspect is that if we really want to set up any infrastructure in the high hills, it is very, very highly costly. I will share my own experience. Almost a year back, my father, because my roots are basically from district Pauri Garhwal, so my father had this emotional conversation with me, and he's almost 75 plus. So he was like, our house is in tatters, and let's build a new house in the hills so that your next generation also, whenever they have time, they should just go around and they should have also see their roots. So we actually decided that let's build a house out there. And I used to visit my place, but I never used to have, I never had this idea that what exactly I was going through. So when I rope in few builders out there, some local people, and I was surprised to know that the amount of expense that one can incur in plain areas, almost for a room and a attached washroom and a kitchen, it will cost you almost the thrice to build in the high hills. And the reason is that the problem of commuting, first of all, and the cost of labor, and the third one, the cost of raw material is very, very high. So if I somehow struggle to build one room in high hills, it is, see how difficult it will be to build high industries in the hills. And above that, the hills not all the hills in the Himalayas, not all the hills in the region support high infrastructure. You can see the example of Joshimath nowadays, what exactly it is happening there. So we don't have much options there. So what options we have? We have skilled labor in terms of farming. We have people who have somehow with ages learned how to grow organic products. The only problem is that we have somehow struggled to market it. We have somehow struggled to brand it, and we have somehow struggled to scale it. So these are few problems. But as if now we see that only food is the only option that we see. So this is one of the aspects. Now, if we see that food can be so engaging in creating employment and in creating revenues for the region, what are the problems in the region? The biggest problem is the migration from hills to plains. This is very painful. I will again come down in my further slides why it is happening. But let me tell you this, that there are so many ghost villages in Uttarakhand nowadays, where almost people have migrated. There is nobody in those villages. So that is there. Only females, in most of the villages, there are females left. Men have fled. So because in search of bread and butter, that is there. So if there is no male manpower there, see the struggle in terms of farming, it increases. That is the one aspect. The second is the ratio of male or female agricultural workers, like I told you. As if now, almost the most recent research, there was a research paper in Taylor and Francis which said that currently the ratio is 65 to 25. 65% female workers and female agricultural workers, and 25% only male workers are there. And the biggest struggle is that the lack of land holding is very, very minimal with female farmers. Female farmers doesn't own that land. And what exactly happens when certain government policies they come up, certain aid comes up? They are not the decision makers because their man is not there. Their household members are not there. So their livelihood stature remains then and there. So that is again one of the issues, major issues. Lack of infrastructure and transportation facilities. So every year, I think in the rainy season, there are landslides, the roadways are blocked for certain period of time. It happens in the highways. So just think about what about in the deep-rooted villages? The problem is almost twice or thrice. So lack of infrastructure and transportation facilities is one of the major aspects why we are not able to brand a cuisine. Small land holdings. So since in hills we have step farming, I think everybody is aware about that. So the land holdings are very small. With each and every farmer, the land holdings are very, very small in size as compared to farming practices in the plain areas. In the plain areas, you will find acres of land with one farmer. So he has that room of, growing multiple vegetables and scaling his agricultural product. That is one of the aspects. Again, lack of credit and marketing facilities. The banking system truly lacks in the high hills, and most of them are not aware about these facilities. And since above all the 5 points, they does not support these agricultural facilities, people are hesitant to take credit and marketing facilities as well, because they are not aware about all these things. Awareness about government policies is almost minimal. And there are very few set of people who are actually taking benefits out of them. So now what is the solution? So the other day, I do multiple authoring with many people across. So I do have one of my friend who's working in a agricultural department. So the question which you are seeing here, I put up the same question in front of him few days back. And when I was actually going through one of my research paper, and I told him that the bill scaling of farming through chemical fertilizers not help in the high hills. If it can help in the plains, why can't it help us in high hills in Uttarakhand? Why cannot we apply that? So he told me, he gave me a very good smile first of all, and he gave me some very good insights into it. And this is here. I will really like to discuss it here. And of course, those insights were quite shocking. I was not expecting that. But apart from that, he told me that the other solution can be if we can brand it as a sustainable food tourism. And he said that this is the right answer for the hills. So if this is the answer, why is not the first one the correct answer? So why it is not? Because first and foremost, the soil is very fragile in the high hills. Fragile means it changes within a span of 20 to 25 days. This is what the research says. The upper sheen of the soil goes off within 15 to 20 days because of high winds, because of rainy season. And since everything is on the step farming scenario, the upper sheen goes off very fast. Then soil erosion is totally relatable. Soil erosion takes place. So just imagine if you will just put down certain fertilizer on high hills, step farming, what will happen? It will just go down between 15 to 25 days. And it may lead to another biodiversity effects. It can give another biodiversity effects. The biggest biodiversity effect is that water contamination and downstream effects. Now in high hills, majority of people, they are totally reliable on natural water springs. Of course, nowadays things have been upgraded. People have water connections in their home also. But if you will travel down to high hills, you will not find them actually using that. You will find them going to the natural water places and utilizing that places more. So if these chemicals, they somehow drain to these natural water places, it can lead to disaster. And it has happened in the past. There was one person who actually opened up one greenhouse for pimentos. He was growing pimentos in the place called Pithane in Podi Garhwal. And that person, he used, n number of chemicals, and then what exactly happened? It drained out these chemicals. It drained out in a natural water place. People, they were contaminated. They were seriously ill. So that is one of the concerns that we have in the high hills. Water get easily contaminated, and above all, we have n number of rivers that are originated from Uttarakhand. Two majorly rivers, Holy Ganga and Yamuna, that originates from Uttarakhand. What if such kind of chemicals, they just get drained out in these rivers? Limited accessibility and high cost. So as I already told you, right now, scaling is the major issue in the high hills. So right now, what we are struggling is we have very limited accessibility, and the cost of these fertilizers is too high. So just imagine female farmers who are working on high hills. What is the possibility that they will actually purchase these chemical fertilizers? It's very, very minimum, very, very minimum right now. So again, this is one of the limitation. Biodiversity loss. We have indigenous varieties of bird life, insect life. Then we have n number of animals that are basically part of that ecosystem. These chemicals can somehow, trouble that aspect as well. So biodiversity loss is also there. And there was another research that says that if you put certain fertilizers in a plain soil field, that is basically an irrigated field in the plains, the soil density is not more than 50 to 70%. But if you put that same thing on a fragile, on a coarser soil, and it is to be believed that the soil in the high hills are not that fertile as compared to the soil in the plains. So the soil acidity it increased to 100 times more. So that is again one of the, then actually, you need a proper soil treatment thing to go on. So again, that involves cost. Long-term degradation is there. And recently, we had a G20 summit in Uttarakhand, and this was something which was discussed, impact on climate change. Like, I think in the earlier session, Gunjan ma'am was discussing the Kedarnath Apda, and that was something, we all were part of at that point of time. So that was all because of impact on climate change. All of a sudden, that water that came down. So it is basically a small needle in the ecosystem. It goes off, everything goes off. So we have to really pay concern to everything. Now, the second aspect, why sustainable food tourism would work. And now, as you can see here, these are collaboration of two different words. The first word is sustainability, the other word is food tourism. So now let's understand what exactly is sustainability first, and then we will move forward with food tourism. And one more thing, that if sustainability would work, and if it will work, what exactly it is, like I already discussed. Right. Now, sustainability, in very simple words, let's understand what sustainability is all about. Now, sustainability is utilizing your resources in a manner that your next generation also get an opportunity to experience it. अगर मैं इसको आई लाइक टू रिपीट दिस इन हिंदी, कि अगर हम किसी तरह अपने संसाधनों को इस तरह से इस्तेमाल या यूटिलाइज करें कि हमारी अगली जनरेशन भी उसको देख पाए. आई एम नॉट सेइंग यूटिलाइज, बट एटलीस्ट देख पाए. आई एम सेइंग इट व्हाई, because there is again a research that says that by 2015, 26% of our natural resources will go off. It will get extinct. So the entire world is worried nowadays. People in G50, people in G20, everybody is discussing sustainability nowadays. It has suddenly become so important. And a matter of research also. Some very good research articles are getting published on sustainability and its goals. So the UN got concerned in the year 2015, and we in India, we are slightly late, almost 10 years late. That amount of progression that I am seeing in 2024, the world has actually started almost 5 to 10 years back. So in the year 2015, UN laid down 17 sustainability goals. So you can see these sustainability goals out here. And each sustainability goal is basically concentrated on a specific thing. Like the first one says no poverty, the second says zero hunger, third says good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality. So altogether, these are 17 research topics that a person can count on. But when, as culinary practitioners, as chefs, as people from hospitality, we can at least aim for few of them so that we can brand our own cuisine regarding that, because this is what it is the need of the hour. So what I have also done in my past research work, I have tried to align few of these SDGs with the cuisine of Uttarakhand. And here you can see that SDG 8 that says decent work and economic growth supports local economies. This is one of the aspects. The second aspect is responsible consumption and production. So this is, again, I have already discussed it, that it involves key aspects like farm to table that I will discuss in my further slides. What exactly it is one of the vertical that can be discussed. There are other verticals also. And then SDG 15 is there that says life on land. So it emphasizes more on sustainability, land use. So how we can make the best out of land and increase the biodiversity conservation aspects. So currently I'm working on all these three aspects in context to the cuisine of Uttarakhand and how we can brand it. I think each and every cuisine of India is special. We all were having discussion in the earlier session. Every cuisine is so special, but we have somehow we have struggled to brand that cuisine, right? So let's look forward how we can contribute these SDGs and create a brand out of it. Now, what exactly is food tourism? So again, a few days back in one of my session, I asked one of my students that, do you know something about food tourism? And he said, yes, sir. Last year I did fantastic food tourism. I had a very fantastic food tourism experience. So I went to Japan. Very good. So what? So he said, sir, I tried, a number of sushi preparations. Then I tried sashimi as well. So he named almost 5-10 things out of that cuisine. And the next question which I asked him is that, what was the occasion? Why did you went there? And he said, sir, my nephew was getting wedded there. So all of a sudden I told him, dear, it is not a food tourism then. It is not food tourism. It was never a food tourism. So what exactly a food tourism is? So food tourism is when you travel to a distant place with the sole intention to try the local cuisine of that area. Local dishes, experience local food culture, you experience the seeking authentic, unique and sustainable food experiences of that area. Then it is called a food tourism. And it looks very fascinating to say that people love our cuisine. Every state says that our cuisine is fantastic. It is fantastic. But just look at the numbers. How many people are traveling to India to try our food? There are no substantial numbers. Somebody point out to 3%, somebody points out to 4%. The government doesn't share any substantial record on food tourism. We don't have any substantial record on food tourists. What we have is a substantial record on cultural tourists. Wherever Modi ji travels, he is basically accompanied with so many culturally diverse, people. It is as a soft power, what is reflected in the world stage is the cultural tourism of India. What is not reflected is the food tourism. So not every size fits all. So this is the right time that we should actually look to the allied verticals of tourism, food tourism being one of them. So every state has some key features. So if we can focus on those key features, we can focus on this food tourism aspect. Right now, there are five favorite countries in terms of food tourism. These countries are Italy, France, Japan, Spain, and Thailand. So people, they love to travel to Italy, not to experience their tourist destinations, but more to try their local food. People travel to Japan. Eiffel Tower is a secondary options for people as a food tourist destination. They are there to experience some fabulous wine cooking. Japan, one of the major upcoming hospitality state, you can say. So many Michelin star restaurants out there. So people have started branding themselves. People, as you can see here, Italy, France, Japan, there is India. So what we have actually lacking is we are lacking in terms of branding. We have somehow failed in terms of branding because somehow we have failed to know the unique features of our cuisine, and we have failed to portray them in the on the world stage. Now comes the other aspect. If we if we basically collaborate both these words, it becomes sustainable food tourism. So what exactly is sustainable food tourism? Now, sustainable food tourism is when people, they visit a particular destination and they experience the food of that particular area in terms focusing on environmental and cultural friendly food experiences. So there has to be a complete transparency. People should see how the food is getting grown. People should see how it is processed, how it is basically consumed. This is entire cycle. So recently I got to have a word with one of the government officials in Uttarakhand, and it's a pleasure to see that there is a place in Munsiari, there is a village in Munsiari. Munsiari is basically a place in Uttarakhand, very near to Nainital. Nainital is basically a place that I think everybody can relate. And that village will be the first sustainable food tourist destination that we are coming up in Uttarakhand. So if one village can have this kind of model, why can't the other places can have same model? So this is how we can develop the cuisine. It is a growing area of research also. So increasing popularity of environmental awareness among young generations. We need to educate the young generation also regarding that, because these resources, one day these resources are gonna elapse. We will be left with nothing. Now, what components basically we are expecting out of sustainable food tourism, and see how beautifully it aligns with Uttarakhand cuisine. So these things are basically first and foremost requirement for a sustainable food tourist destination. Reduced food waste, and food wastage is something that is a very, very big concern. In my further slides, I will be going to highlight this in a more prominent way. Promote local ingredients. So local ingredients, it is not necessary that those ingredients are basically, more into commercial lineup. We got to, promote our indigenous cuisines as well. Let the tourist who is visiting us, let him decide whether it is good or bad, but let us promote it. Culinary techniques also. So there are fabulous culinary techniques, and we teach our students, we experience it. But how popular it is on the world stage, that is we are lacking. Reduce reliance on long distance transportation. If transportation is involved, the word sustainability vanishes. There is no point of sustainability if there is transportation. Then support local food. So local food, there are so many certification marks like green standards, BREEAM, Energy Stars, FSC. Now, if we can somehow relate with local food, we fulfill all the requirements of sustainable food tourism. Now, another aspect comes local food. So quite a common word. The literal meaning, it is very, very familiar word, local food. People that tend to mix it with so many aspects, people tend to mix it with ethnic food as well. No, ethnic food and local food are very different aspects. Ethnic food reflects your heritage. Ethnic food reflects your cultural diversity as well, not local food. Local food has various definitions. Three of them I will be sharing here. The first one says local food refers to chain or processes where grown food can be consumed close to its source. Anything which you grow and you consume it within a close radius can be said as a local food. How close it is, then other definition will put a light on that. Another definition says local food is described as state or intermediary promotions of food or buyers grown and sold in a specific geographical region. It says that it is basically an arrangement where local food, locally grown food, and the sellers, they come on a common platform, and the revenue transactions that take place, and it is consumed on the same platforms as well. So that is another definition that people comes up. But the most popular one is the definition of a locavore. So as per, and this is the most cited definition also that you will find in most of the research paper on local food. So as per the new Oxford American Dictionary of 2008, a locavore is a person who consumes food that is produced or grown within 100 miles of where they live. So again, a quantitative aspect is related to this definition. So anything which is grown and consumed within 100 miles, that you can consider as local food, not something that involves a long distance transportation. So this is actually has to be considered. Usually, a concept of commercial selling is also should also be associated with it, like farm to table. So now in my further slides, I will talk more about this vertical. In different, there are different verticals also. Farm to table is one of the verticals that we can commercially indulge people, especially in the high hills. Now, what exactly is a farm to table concept? A farm to table concept is very simple. We grow some vegetables, some horticulture products in our farms. We cultivate them, we plug them, we cook them in very close proximity. We have a restaurant attached to it. We invite we invite our customers. They experience it, and in some farm to table concepts, they even have a choice to choose their vegetables from the farm. So this is exactly what farm to table concept looks like. So it is basically a culinary and food sourcing philosophy focused on delivering food directly from the local farms to consumers with minimal processing, and very fewer intermediaries has to be there in between. Intermediaries in some extent has to be there, because I will just cover it up, because a single farm to table is very difficult to survive. So there has to be certain collaborations also related to it. So in my further slides, I will talk more about it, and just create dishes, fabulous dishes out of it, keeping the essence of the local cuisine into it. So this is how we can promote this concept of farm to table, especially in platforms like hill cuisines and different types of suburban areas as well. So here it is started almost 1960s, I would say, and it was quite surprising for me also when I was just undergoing all these things. And it started from America, and the recent history of America doesn't support this thing, but it started there. And the basic reason why it started was that people, they were so much obsessed with this processed and tin food that they really wanted to try something else. And then there was this magical lady, Chef Alice Waters. She came up with this concept. She had a very small farm, and she actually cultivated few vegetables initially. And one day she invited one of the families nearby. The family landed up. They tried that food, and they were so happy, and they even asked her to if she can cook the same food commercially for them every Wednesday. So the Wednesday meals started initially with Chez Panas. That was the name of the first farm to table concept that started in California at that point of time. And then it suddenly became so popular that all of a sudden in the entire New Jersey and Texas area, there were 2-3 more farm to table things they started coming up, and it simultaneously it gained popularity in France and other European countries as well. So this is how exactly it started. So what exactly are the core principles, and see how wonderfully it aligns with the local cuisine. It says that local sourcing has to be there. So in Uttarakhand, if I take as a case study, we have local sourcing. Seasonality, we are solely dependent on seasonal ingredients here in Uttarakhand, because since there are no chemical fertilizers exposure in the high hills, so out of season is no context here. Sustainability is one of the aspects. Talk about the ecological benefits and reduced carbon footprints. That is one of the most essential thing nowadays. And freshness and quality, because if your product is not fresh, there is no catch in your farm to table concept. So that is one of the key aspect here. So core principles matches my cuisine. Now I'm ready to go as a branding feature. And why one should actually adopt farm to table? We do have certain other options also. One of the very basic option, one day somebody came up to me and he said, Why can't we just grow in the farms and we can deliver through, so many apps are there and they can deliver within the radius also. What is there? And they can also, they can also transport it also within a span of no time. But altogether, the concept is defeated when we include multinational companies into it. Now, there are so many multinational companies that are there into food processing in India. I think Gunjan ma'am has already touched upon this very beautifully. And there are so many food processing countries, and what is their sole purpose coming here? Is their sole purpose uh, eliminating the hunger, or their sole purpose is corporate profits? Of course, their main purpose is corporate profits. They are least bothered about how much employment they are providing to somebody who is slogging in the high heels, or somebody who's basically the first initiator of these ingredients. They are not bothered about that. They are just simply bothered about their own profit margins. And there's a gentleman in southern India, Dr. Prasad Balanayya. He's the director of SIES, and he came up with very surprising stats. And he said that $2.8 billion packaged food market is projected in 2023, and by 2029 it will get increased to $6.4 billion. So we are heading towards building new food process market in India. That is a sign of worry, and that is the reason we should try to promote farm to table like concept. And I would like to highlight this a little bit more through one of a very unique case study, as very unique case study, that are we really eating farms or from factory farms? Now, so much production of processed food is taking place nowadays. Somebody was discussing earlier that earlier cabbage was a seasonal vegetable, and now we find cabbage throughout the year. How is it happening? It's happening through chemicals. It is happening through fertilizers. And almost 3 years back, through one of my friend who works in basically in microbiology department in a university, and I asked him if randomly he can give me certain figures of what chemicals people are using, so that I will be very honest, I simply wanted few names so that I can frame that in my research paper. And just randomly, he took one tomato from the market and he tested them, because he was in microbiology department. He tested them, and he said that these were the things that were actually present in that tomato: ammonium sulfate, calcium ammonium nitrate, chlorophysosis, sulfur, and down you can see that folate is there, which is a very, very harmful insecticide, and mancozeb is also there, which is basically a fungicide. So we all are not microbiologists. We are not checking it, but it is happening nowadays. So are we really eating real food? And what exactly is happening? That I'd never call it food. I always call it factory farms. The food which we are getting nowadays is actually coming from the factory farms, and these factory farms are making people ill. And above all, as one of a very popular burger company, I will not name it here, but I have certain studies onto it. They are even genetically modifying your tomato as the size of a bun, so that it looks wonderful. So we have even altered the DNA of the vegetables. So this is what we are doing nowadays. So what exactly is happening? We are even wasting this factory farm food also because of transportation. Now India loses around 5 to 13% of its fruits and vegetables, 3.3 to 7% of other commodities, just because we do not have adequate storage capacities. This amount, this is around 1,52,000 crores, not a small sum, just because it is getting wastage. And if somebody has doubt into it, just go through one exercise. You just simply purchase 1 kg of tomato, keep in your refrigerator, and just keep a track on its cycle. I can bet you on this that whenever you consume it, 10 days, 5 days, 7 days, definitely you will find 1 or 2 tomatoes that you will not be using it, you will be throwing it out. So when we can throw a certain percentage from our refrigerator, just imagine what things are going to happen in food trucks, what is going to happen in warehouses. The food is getting wasted. It is getting wasted like anything. What we are doing, we are planting food. We are investing so much in growing that food. People are then investing a lot of time in harvesting them. We are investing a lot of time in processing them. And then with all our efforts, we ship it. And what exactly happens? It never reaches to us. Majority of it is wasted. This is what exactly it is happening. It's a matter of concern. And then I always discuss this tomato story that goes around, that tomato A has a very interesting story out here. Tomato A is getting pampered with so many people. You can see somebody is putting some hydrogen mix, somebody is implanting some carbon footprints on it, somebody is just genetically changing its structure. So this tomato is getting pampered with so many people. And I have taken a case study here that the leading producer of tomatoes in India is basically the Maddapalli division in Andhra Pradesh. It is the leading producer in India of tomatoes. And somehow I confirmed in Dehradun also, as a majorly lot comes to Dehradun as well. So here, the catch is that the tomato, it never starts as red. It starts as very bright green. The reason behind it takes, if it goes in one extent, it takes 41 hours, 2,164 kilometers to cover. But everybody knows that trucks do not travel at from the main highways. They do not travel at daytime. They only travel at night time. So just imagine how much time it will take to reach us. And what this is super planning by so many. This is the case of super planning. They know that the shade of tomato will gradually change to red at the point it reaches here. So this is the calculation. This is the study. They have done it. So it starts as a raw, and then it reaches such a bright tomato you find it at your native place, and we never know what exactly how it is coming. On the other hand, this stripped looking tomato, as you can see, this has a very boring story. It is nothing but it is totally dependent on organic manure, on animal manure. It is grown on the fields in Andhra Pradesh. So Mr. Reddy grows it in the field. His family contributes in the cultivation and entire cycle, and it is basically consumed in the local markets. And above all, the red shade in the tomato, it comes directly from the sun. So quite a boring story here, but now this is our wish to choose what kind of tomato we are really looking forward in our lives. Now, for farm to table, every individual has different kind of benefits. So for consumers, it is freshness and nutritional quality, transparency and trust, because people are seeing that the whatever they are consuming, it is coming directly from the farms. Now, support for local economy is also there. Reduce environmental impact. Of course, we are contributing global in the national interest. Unique, authentic experiences are also leading to it. And for the producers, it is a direct market access. They are not relied on anybody for setting up their prices, their revenue stability. It is in their hand. So even farmers are happy. Community connection and brand loyalty is there because they know what they are growing. They know how to portray that in front of their consumers and consumers. Reduce food waste, like I told you. Mr. Reddy, he actually grown up that tomato in his field and he served in front of him. That is what exactly he is looking forward. He has reduced the food wastage like anything. So that is the model we are proposing here. Encouragement of sustainable practices. Now, sustainable practices will come in this manner. So that if we can cut out so many aspects from our processing line, automatically these sustainable practices comes into action. Now, there are certain challenges also because everything doesn't come so cheap. So supply chain limitations are there, and above all, the biggest supply chain limitation here is that most of the farmers are small farmers, and they lack adverse weather conditions here. Plus, there is basically a lack of diversity also in the fields. So if a single farmer is open up, like I discussed earlier, if a single farmer is open up with a farm to table concept, it becomes very challenging for him to give variety of products to the end consumer. So in this situation, the solution is that develop cooperative farming networks. So what exactly happens here, that not a single farmer, but basically a collaboration of 5 to 10 farmers, they come together. They decide that what product cycle they are going to enter this year, and they distribute their their crop diversity as well. And then they engage in crop diversification and rotation practices, and then keeping the seasonal menu planning into consideration, they just go through, and this is how they can this variety seeking variety seeking aspect is there in the consumer that can be monitored through this. So this is one of the thing. The other one is the higher cost. Now people just show the glamorous part of organic food or sustainable food. The ugliest part is the higher cost, and I will also not deny it. If I'll travel down in the local markets, even in Uttarakhand, the local food organically grown is expensive, and this is because they are not scaling it up. We are catering to a very niche market. The production cycle is very, very low right now, and it is happening, I think, around the nation. It is happening nowadays. So how we can basically overcome this problem is basically that if we can come up with TDH menu, table d'hôte menus in basically in the smaller quantities in our outlet, we can focus on high margin seasonal dishes, because if we include some high margin seasonal dishes, it is quite easy to satisfy the end consumer. Then above all, we can educate customers also on the value of local produce. Now, if until and unless we educate the customer will never be able to understand what exactly they are consuming. So consumer education is one of the key aspects here. And of course, in case of Uttarakhand, in case of any other cuisine that has these kind of limitations, we have to concentrate on the niche market. We have to just concentrate that only the drive demand and encourage economies of scale can only be encouraged until and unless we concentrate on the niche market. People in the niche market becomes happy, and simultaneously the market can get popularized and it can be marketed in a more suitable way. But if we fail to capture the niche market, we will never be able to scale it up. So that is again one of the issues here. Now certification issues are also there. Now blockchains. Now currently in Uttarakhand, I will say, now USOPA is basically one of the certification company, which is basically a government. It is Uttarakhand State Organization Certification Organization, and it gives certification to organic food. And until unless you get certification of this, it is very, very, very hard to market it. But nowadays, what government has come up with this data analytics and e-commerce benefit. Now, there are certain companies that this food apps and other companies, they are getting collaborated with some farm to table outlets, and they are just helping them with this certification kind of thing. So they are doing the marketing thing for them. They are actually uplifting the gamification thing regarding that. They are into more into storytelling. They are into telling people about different contexts of these ingredients, which we have failed right now. Currently, we have struggled to tell people about our indigenous ingredients, but these companies, they are helping us out, because ultimately they will be getting profitable out of that, because since if they have a collaboration with any farm to table outlet, definitely they will get a percentage share into that. So government is now introducing all these kinds of things also, and awareness about the local product with tourist verticals. That is also one of the things that is going on. People are requested to share their stories whenever they tried certain indigenous food in hills. So that is again a point. One serious problem, and this has always been my research area in the past, that is basically food neophobia. Now, this is the biggest obstacle in branding, and not only for the cuisine of Uttarakhand, but most of our cuisines. If we leave one or two cuisines that are more popular in India, but most of our cuisines, they struggle with this aspect. Now, what exactly is food neophobia? It is basically a reluctance to or refusal to try any unfamiliar food. Now, I will share my own experience. Last year, during an official trip, I went to Manipur, and there, being a practitioner myself, I'm sharing this thing. There were certain indigenous food dishes that was placed in front of me, and the locals, they actually asked me to try it. I tried one or two. Being a vegetarian, I had this aspect also in mind, whether they are non-vegetarian or not. That is again another thing. But although they told me that this thing is purely vegetarian, I was hesitant to try that. They educated me also that these ingredients are used. Still, I was hesitant to try that. Now we have to eliminate this issue. Until and unless we eliminate this food neophobia thing into customers or the potential tourists we are expecting in our country, our food will never get branded. So we have to convert high food neophobic into low food neophobic, and ultimately into no neophobics. So people should come here, should be open to try our food, and sampling is one of the key aspects here. We should first educate the customer regarding that, and then we should ask them that please sample our food. So I have been launching few of the local food eateries also in my current profile, so that I have monitored myself that this really helps. If you educate a customer and you you just ask him to sample that food rather than just offering him or just emphasizing him to purchase that food, I think that really helps. So food neophobia is a serious issue if we really want to just build a better situation. And if it is still persists, then what exactly happens? We have limited adoptions of local cuisine. We have reduced economic impact. Missed opportunities are there for destinations. People will not travel actually, because after COVID-19, people are very, very, conscious wherever they are traveling. Earlier, people were not, because now people, they know that wherever they will travel, food is a key aspect. Now immunity is into now action. Now people, they judge their food and then they try it. So earlier people used to people were new-feeling, people were open to try a number of things, but after COVID-19 this problem has increased. So again, a major issue that needs to be tackled. And when I talk about food neophobia, somehow the indigenous cuisine of my own native state Uttarakhand, I think most of the participants here will identify few of the ingredients that I am about to share, but there will be many people that will actually experiencing these kind of ingredients for the first time. So let's see. And the only motto to showcase these ingredients is to just to make people familiar about them. So as you can see on the screen, we have these indigenous pulses that are grown here. These are not regular pulses. So first one is basically the soybean pulse. This is basically slightly different from the regular soybean that is grown in other parts of the country. So in the Kumaon region, this is quite popular. The second one is basically a tempering seed called jakia, wild dog mustard we call it in English. And it is basically something that is extensively used in Uttarakhand cuisine. So every food item you will find this tempering in our food. Then bhanjir is there. Basically, this is basically hemp seeds, and I would like to mention that people doesn't get intoxicated by trying these seeds, but these have very refreshing taste. There is a very fabulous chutney that is prepared out of it, and I'll be sharing that in my further slide. And all these ingredients are rich in some or the other therapeutic value, as you can see on the slide, rich in omega-3, omega-6 fats, but somehow people are not aware about them. Now, cholai, that is basically Amarnath seeds. So this is again one of the staples of Uttarakhand. People, they love to consume the leaves as well as the seeds out here. Very rich in A, E, and C, vitamin A, E, and C, and folic acid. Then Pisyu Loon is basically a local seasoning that is prepared here in Uttarakhand. And if somebody must have, experienced Shark Tank few days back, there is a lady who actually commercializes this Pisyu Loon now on a global platform. So this is nothing but basically a red chili, green ginger and garlic collaboration that is basically pasted on mortar. And on every delicacy, somehow it is basically used as a seasoning thing. So I would rather say that food of Uttarakhand is incomplete without this. Koda we call the ragi flour, finger millet here in local language, and this is basically the staple, I would say, for the high people. It is basically the staple cereal out here, whether it is Kumaon region or Garhwal region. People love to consume rotis out of it. And the second one being Jhangora, that is banyan millet. So as 2023, we had EOM, that is basically International Year of Millet. So we even tried, n number of preparations through this barnyard millet. We tried to showcase it on international level as well. So this is one of the delicacy that we find here. Then Gehat dal, that is basically horse gram. It is known for its diuretic properties, and it is very, very effective in terms of curing kidney stones. So nowadays people this winter season, it is basically the right season to try this Gehat dal. And that is the only thing that I was telling in the starting of my session, that most of these ingredients are indigenous. You cannot consume them throughout the year except few of them, because they have certain therapeutic values associated with them. So whenever we consume them, they have certain reactions on your body. Most of the time it is positive, but in some extent we always see the weather conditions and then try it. So now tur dal, pigeon peas, it is basically more common in other parts of India as well, but the variety which is grown here is slightly different. Then nettle leaf is there. This is basically bichu ghas that we call here, and this is basically one of the most growing indigenous ingredient from Uttarakhand, and it is also used in preparation of certain cancer treating therapies as well. So its nectar is very, very venomous, and stinging hairs are there. So if it touches your skin, it gives you a irritation for some good time. So when we were during our childhood time also, our mothers used to threaten us with this herb actually. So in the hills, it is consumed as a basic vegetable preparation out here. Then we have red rice. Red rice is basically a wild variety of rice that is grown here. Very, very rich in oxidants, and then it is rich in fibers as well. And it is better than brown rice, believe me, guys. If you can purchase it, try it. Please let me know as well. When we talk about the beverages, now rhododendron, which is basically the buraska juice, it is basically the state tree also of Uttarakhand, but it is more popular in other parts of the country as well. As you can see, the state flower of Washington is there, then West Virginia is there. And as you can see, it is the state flower of Nagaland and Himachal Pradesh also as well. So Jeju province in South Korea, it is so popular. So in Uttarakhand, we have two varieties. The one is dark red and the other one is in the pinkish shade. And I think most of you must have traveled in the hills of Uttarakhand in your summer holidays. So you must have experienced these wonderful flowers growing on your pathways. So this is basically very emotionally the local inhabitant is basically related to this flower, and it has a sour taste. Now the second one is basically an indigenous berry that is grown here. It has a cycle of only 25 days. This is basically kafal, and there are this is actually a part of cultural part as well of Uttarakhand. And now people have somehow developed to prepare certain kind of drinks with this kafal, and now they are preserving these drinks also organically, so that it can be branded on international platform. Now Bel Sharbat is there, which is basically the wood apple. This is again one of the delicacies here, and people love to prepare a sharbat out of it. So it is very good in summers here. Then we have Malta juice, which is basically blood oranges. The hills of Uttarakhand are basically full of these trees out here, and they are so rich. Currently also, the major the export of blood oranges is for cosmetic purposes right now. But if we market it properly, I think there are n number of products that we can come up with this thing. It has anti-inflammatory properties, detoxification properties are also there. Now, certain food delicacies, if I talk about, now there is a word called thungar. Now, thungar in our Pahari language, in our local language, is something related to snacks or something that we chew during our work hours. So most probably in hill areas, the females, they tie up certain kind of, roasted and pounded rice that is called basically chuda here, and they consume it during their work hours. So this is one of the delicacies. Then aloo ka gutka is there. This is again a kind of a replica to aloo zira, but it is again tempered with the local herbs out here. So jakhya is one of them that I already discussed. Then we have patyud. It is basically taro leaf preparation. Taro leaves are basically coated with Bengal flour, and then it is basically steamed, and then it is shallow fried. So again, a delicacy that you will find in Uttarakhand, prepared on festivities. Then we have pumpkin flour fritters. Pumpkin flour is very, very native to our place, and people, they love whenever the seasonal. Again, it is basically a seasonal preparation. So whenever the seasonal comes, it is something that happens quite regularly in our households. Then we have choli roti. It is basically stuffed mandwa roti that we have here. And then we have maske vade, which is basically split urad dal vade that we have here. There are other delicacies also, and here you can see that most of these delicacies are very, very rich in fiber content. They have a specific therapeutic values also. Like fanu is basically preparation from local tur dal. Chausa is basically from the urad dal. Now nal badi is basically the stamp of a taro plant. It is coated again with urad dal and sun dried and prepared in a similar fashion like mangodi in Rajasthan. So this is basically native to our place, and most of the time people, when they run out of resources, this is something that comes into action. Bhatki churkani becomes basically from the Kumaon region, and where this black soybean is very popular, very, very rich in iron and other contents, as you can see from the color as well. Ras bhat is a collaboration of so many indigenous lentils that grow here. Lingra is basically fiddlehead fern. This is something that grows in almost, since Uttarakhand is covered with 65% of forest is there in Uttarakhand. So you will find this in season times, you will find this growing in n number of places in the high hills. People, they go there, more women while working also, they pluck it, they come back in their villages, they prepare it. It's a fabulous vegetables, very, very rich in antioxidants. Then mutton in most of the hill stations, they are more popular. So here also in Uttarakhand, the mutton preparations are more popular as compared to chicken. But of course, we have certain chicken preparations as well, like kukra ka jhool is there. So recipe preparation is not as important as the use of ingredients in our cuisine. That is what I want to reflect here. And these are certain indigenous preparations like chutney and raita. This is basically native to entire nation, but here two of them I would like to mention here. Otherwise, like lesun ki chutney we have in Rajasthan as well. Burans ki chutney is basically native to Uttarakhand. Then we have alsi flaxseed chutney is prepared in other parts as well. Green tomato chutney is also one of them. And raito, that's basically, it's a local terminology for raita. Now banjeer ki chutney, the hemp seed chutney, is one of the major delicacies here. People love to consume banjeer ki chutney in festivities and in some good occasion at their places. So this is one of the things that we can actually market in an international platform as well. But somehow we have struggled. That is what I was talking about. And Kumaoni raita preparation is very much similar to other raitas. What is special about this raita is the use of local mustard that is grown in the hills of Uttarakhand. The pungency level that this raita has is amazing. And if someday you got an opportunity to travel down to the hills of Kumaon, I sincerely request that you should halt in between and try this raita. This is amazing preparation out here. So it's not just a food, but the food for thought also, that can we uplift the cuisine with activities like farm to table? Of course we can, but if we somehow struggle, then it's a case study. It's a case study like Uttarakhand. Now this is the painful aspect I was talking about. According to the 2011 census, there were 1,048 ghost villages here. Now, ghost villages is basically a terminology, I think, that was specifically crafted for us. Villages with no population in Uttarakhand, and since then this number is estimated to have reached close to 2,000. Now our hills are vacated. People have flew from there in search of bread and butter. So if today we somehow struggle to create job opportunities for them through this sustainable food tourism or any other vertical that we can come up. So this is the right time. Otherwise, I think it will be too late. And one day these entire hills of Uttarakhand will be vacated. So this is what a plea from me and from the other people of Uttarakhand, that please adopt sustainability for better hills. And whenever you travel down to Uttarakhand next time, please support the local cuisine of the state and just give an opportunity to brand them. So this is how we can contribute. So n number of people, they travel to Kedarnath, Badrinath, but many few people, they try the indigenous food of the state. So this is basically a plea from our side that please do try and support our local cuisine. So this is all from my end, and I'm open to your questions now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your presentation. Now it is the time of asking the question answers. I request to the audience, please ask the questions.
This is an excellent presentation. I was waiting for this interaction time. I happen to be associated with the Navdanya, an organization that is based in Delhi, but also has this organic training school near Dehradun on Old Shimla Road in a village called Ramgarh. So
Right.
there, when we go there for a 1 week training or a 1 month training or even attending a weekend workshop, they make it a point to serve local cuisine. So that is when I discovered a lot of hill cuisine. And the products that you're mentioning, like rhododendron, sea buckthorn, and this morta, all these things I've heard for the very first time from Navdanya. They have a small store in Delhi where they try to popularize these items there. Earlier, they also used to have a restaurant in Delhi Heart. They have closed the restaurant, but they still sell these hill produce. Now, one question I have is, even in my own town, I'm from Andhra. If I go to a locally popular restaurant, the menu is still the menu is mostly very common. You find Punjabi dishes and continental cuisine.
Yes.
When a visitor comes and they wants to try local authentic items, they're not available in normal hotels. So in the
Yes.
hills, are bread and breakfast type of places or homestays available? Because if I'm staying in the home of a local, then I can always request an authentic cuisine and they can make it. If I stay in a KMEN or a GMEN, then they will serve whatever is popular with the tourists.
Absolutely, sir. I think currently there are more than 5,000 registered homestays in Uttarakhand, and this model is actually working here. And the basic reason for promoting these homestays is that people, they tend to experience the local culture also with the host out here. And like you mentioned, definitely, sir, they get an opportunity to try the local cuisine. Because I'll be very honest, sir, we don't have much commercial eateries right now in Uttarakhand. We do have certain farm to table outlets that are coming up, but when we see local eateries coming up, there are very limited ones. But in homestays, I think almost 90% of the homestays, they are open to this local cuisine, and that is the best platform where you can experience local cuisine.
So in the concept of food tourism, so when somebody comes and stays for a day or a weekend,
Yes.
so food is something that they spend maybe maximum of 2 to 3 hours in a day. So how does a tour operator engage them for the rest of the time or a weekend, for example?
Sir, this is the basic challenge we are facing. We do not have any substantiated data that actually talks about how many people are actually visiting with the intent of experiencing food. So we actually, in some of the hotels, we have actually started with this thing. We actually ask most of the during the check-in time only. We ask most of the foreigners. We ask them that what is basic inclination to come down to the destination. And when we start implementing these kind of things, we will have some substantiated data that why people are traveling to our native places. Right now, what is happening? People come up with some different occasion, and they ultimately they land up trying the native cuisine. So even the tour operator who is basically attached to them, he never concentrates on that aspect because he's not aware why they visited this place. Most of the time he or she, they try to induct them into some sightseeing thing, or just take them for a safari trip. That exactly happens here. But if we got to know the basic instinct of that person, of the basic idea of their visit, I think we can plan their itinerary in a more beneficial way. So this is again one of the key suggestions, sir, that we can implement.
True, and I think some of the products can never be globalized. For example, if I take my own native place, we have around 5 or 6 varieties of banana which are commercially cultivated, and some of them have such thin skin that they cannot be transported in over any reasonable distances. So
I
they are
totally
produced
agree.
just enough for the local market. And if somebody wants to experience that variety of banana, he has to come here.
Yes.
Similarly, there are certain varieties of tomatoes. So I was surprised that Madanapalli tomatoes are coming all the way to Dehradun, because in Andhra we get all of our tomatoes from Madanapalli. But once or twice in a year we do get local produce, and the vegetable sellers make it a point to sell them at a higher price than Madanapalli tomatoes because these have exquisite taste and they come
Right.
only during season.
Sir, like somebody was also pointing out, the idea is not to globalize the local ingredient on the world stage. The idea is to market and brand that ingredient on the world stage so that people travel down to a destination to try that food. So that is the basic aspect, sir. We have to promote a destination for food tourism. And if the simple idea is to transport the food and or export the food, then the sustainability idea is defeated. So that is the key aspect, to promote a destination in terms of food tourism rather than exporting food.
Yes, sir, I'm totally with you. In that context only, I was wondering, yes, food can attract people, but when somebody is spending money on air travel and everything,
Yes.
they want to figure out how will they spend the remaining time gainfully other than consuming food. So if somebody figures out what other experiences they can offer, for example, in
Yes.
Uttarakhand, working on a farm, on various farm activities could be one aspect of the tourism where they have food and then they go with the locals to try the traditional way of farming, like tilling with a pair of bulls on the farm, because it is
Yes.
rarity in the plains. Because in the plains we already shifted to tractors. If somebody wants to till the soil in the traditional way, I don't know if it is still practiced in the hills, then that may be a part of the experience of food tourism, where this will occupy their time between meals.
Excellent, sir. And you know what exactly people in Uttarakhand have started doing? They have, most of the homestays, they have actually collaborated with certain villages, and they have even promoting the village tourism aspect. So people, when they stay in a certain homestay, they try to include them in certain activities where they actually take them to the fields. They indulge them into activities of farming and other things. So that is actually the right approach of indulging people. You are absolutely right. Just coming down to a destination and trying food will never help. We have to create more avenues.
Hello.
Yes, Dr. Devendra wants to ask something, I think.
No, I just wanted to interact with Dr. Abhay.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, I just wanted to know your college, like your university, where it is, and
Right, sir.
there are, because I keep visiting that Devbhoomi University and
Right.
one or two institutes, and one of my student is running an institute, catering institute there. So I just want to know, this is a new university, I feel, because
Sir,
frequently.
Sir, we are just situated on the foothills of Mussoorie. Mussoorie is just 22 kilometers away from here.
Yeah, Mussoorie,
And-
Mussoorie I have visited.
Sir,
Mussoorie
yes,
Lake
sir.
also I visited.
So,
I just want to know, well, like, this is a new university.
sir, university has a long history, but the School of
Okay.
Hospitality Management is started in the year 2018. So we are quite fresh in terms of hospitality unit in this university. This is basically a sister concern of DIT University. You must have heard.
Yes.
Basically, the engineering unit. So
Okay.
we have all management courses and they have all the engineering courses with them.
Okay. In case next time if I visit Dehradun, then
Sure, sir.
definitely
You're most welcome, sir.
I'll drop in because I think I know your this thing head of the department. I am not remembering the name. Is it Rana? Some Rana is there, correct?
Dr. Vinay Rana, sir.
Ah, fine. I think I have met him once. That's it.
Right.
Thank you for your wonderful presentation. It was very good.
Pleasure, sir.
Many people are telling globalize. Instead of making it globalize, let the Uttarakhand come to global map rather than
Let's promote the
globalizing.
destination, sir.
Yes, I have seen. I have even one of my student research is on the master thesis was on Uttarakhand cuisine. So just recollecting the past, like how much she struggled to make a dissertation on Uttarakhand cuisine. It's very wonderful, and the entire thing is seen now in the small presentation here. Thank you for your
Pleasure, sir.
presentation. We'll keep in touch.
Certainly, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for asking the questions, for the interaction. On the behalf of everyone present today, I would like to extend our most sincere and heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Abhay Chamoli for delivering such an inspiring and deeply informative session on From Farm to Table. Branding Hill Cuisine for Sustainable Food Tourism. Your words have been a true testament to the power of combining tradition, sustainability, and innovation to create a meaningful impact on hill communities and their culinary legacy. Thank you, sir, for the wonderful session. And now I just want to thanks to our incredible audience. Thanks for today's session. Your presence, engagement, and courtesy have truly enriched his event, and we are so grateful for your time and attention. Thank you, everyone. We will resume our Atal FDP tomorrow, same time. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you so
night, all.
much, sir. Thank you so much.